What's up, guys? It is Brent, and this is episode 13 of Wheel and Trigger, and this one was quite the doozy. It was thrown together real fast due to the situation. I was fortunate enough to have Kevin Abbott drive up from Florida just to do this podcast, hang out with me for a night, and we got to talk about, the current situation and talk a little bit about life, talk a little bit about Masters, talk just stuff. But, I know everybody is probably wondering and thinking what went on with Trinity and Horizon and all that. And we've got some of those details. And it was a good podcast. I was really excited to have Kevin on. He's a good friend of mine. He's a big supporter of what we're doing, like I have been of what he's doing. So this was a good one, and I hope you guys enjoy. Remember, you can always help us out by liking, sharing our podcast, getting on the YouTube channel, subscribing to it, commenting. I would love to know at the end of this podcast on the YouTube channel, excuse me, what you think. What was your thoughts on what happened? And then what is your thoughts now after hearing what Kevin has to say? Also, definitely check us out, our Patreon. It helps us get people here anytime that we can fly or pay gas money or hotels or anything for these people that are coming in and do the podcast with us. That's what all the Patreon money goes to. This is not a money-making venture. This is all purely for fun and entertainment, and every little bit helps. So I definitely want to thank our current patrons. You guys are awesome. You guys have kept this thing rolling, and we're just going to continue putting out content. So without further ado, let's talk with our good old friend, Kevin Abbott. All right. Are you ready?
That's as much as I'm going to be.
All right. Prepare to have a really good time for 3 hours of your life.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Or close to.
All right.
I mean, they've all been about 3 hours. You ready, Robert?
I hope you got a heck of content to talk about, because
everything's rolling.
Oh, I can't imagine this isn't going to take a couple hours. So.
Oh, Lordy.
So, what the fuck is up?
Oh, my God, dude. A lot, I guess.
The first thing, for people that are watching and we're just getting started, Kevin says, is this like a PG or like, can we cuss or?
I'm just trying to keep it simple for the viewers. I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't,
It's unfortunate that it's not fully PG for the simple fact of there are kids and families and women and all kinds of the stuff that I wouldn't normally cuss around, but it wasn't really meant to be something that was for everybody. This podcast is made for a specific audience, and I'm fully okay with that. So,
well, I hate to say, you get on Facebook nowadays, some of the ads, they're not PG anymore either, and that's for everybody to see. Yes. I can't get over it.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
like
bad.
Sitting there thinking to myself, my kids can see this. Like, this is ridiculous.
Tiff and I were talking about that just the other day about, and we don't have this issue with pushing special months or holidays or anything like that. We don't care. But what we do have a problem with is everything getting shoved down the throats of not just us, but the youth.
Yeah,
the youth, that their mind's so fertile that they don't have the opportunity to really understand what's getting pushed down their throat. And to me, it's kind of what is screwing up the country. This whole generation, everyone's like, it's this generation, and it's the way they're getting brought up.
Yeah.
They're just getting pounded with this useless information or stuff that they don't understand yet. And it's probably confusing.
Well, that's what's cool about RC, really. I mean, it's a competitive sport, but my son plays football, and his best friend goes 3-10. My son goes 10-3, and they get the same trophy. It's like, how do kids thrive when you're not being pushed?
Yeah, I don't
for
like
excellence. That. I don't either. I don't either. So that's honestly some of the push for me to stay into the RCs, because there's a lot about it that's not just RC related. It's about teaching kids how to grow, how to become good adults. I mean, that's why contracts mean so much to me. It's not about the contract. I mean, there's no legal binding really. I mean, come on now. It's just teaching kids to keep their word.
Right.
I mean, that's where, I'm going to say something here, which will be awesome, is so many people think that my issue with Mark Vine is from a competitive aspect in drag racing. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing. It's that if you want to be the man, you got to act like the man. And when you're putting yourself out there for one brand this week and then next brand the following week, you're if you want to be an icon in this industry, you got to set examples, good examples. I mean, we're all human. We're going to make mistakes, but he's making them repetitively, and he's not learning from them. And these kids that view Mark as an asset to something to look at, or an icon, or a role model, whatever you want to call it. What's he setting? What kind of precedent? He's teaching these kids that they can just jump when things are hard. Dude, let me tell you, if that was the case, I'd have jumped a hell of a long time ago. Yeah. I mean, it's been pretty rough the last couple of months, or last couple of years, really. But, for the last year, for the main part,
Right.
So, I mean, I just want kids to understand that this is about fun, family time. For you and I, it's what we do for a living. But for them, it's like their scapegoat away from reality.
Sure.
That's why Masters of Dirt, honestly, has become, in my opinion, the best event of the year. I mean, you have a level of professionalism in the event, but then it's like, okay, we're quitting it, and now we're going to have fun, guys. Really, no other events do that. And if they are doing it now, it's basically predicated off of you and your event. Masters of Dirt set the bar. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, you're friends with TJ Bradley. I'm friends with TJ Bradley, but he's they're implementing the Masters of Dirt feel as much as they can in the in the carpet champs, and it's working for them. But you set the precedent, really.
Yeah, we all feed off each other.
Yeah,
and that's the industry it's the industry that we know. We feed off of design. We feed off of product. Anything to do with the product or whatever. Same with the racing.
Yeah.
Same with racers. Like if a icon in the sport does something, people are gonna follow right in tow. I'm very much so like you when it comes to contracts. So like, I have a lot of friends that are friends before they jumped on Ultimate or Assault or Beach, anything that we sell.
Yeah.
And I always tell them right up front, if you sign this contract, this is a contract. And if you break it, if you leave, it's okay. Like, we're still friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part, no one's going to crap on me so bad that I don't feel like we're going to be friends anymore. But if you leave the contract, we're still buddies. But I will never bring you back on. Mm-hmm. When you need it the worst, I'm not bringing you on.
Yeah.
You didn't fulfill your side. Now, if you leave the contract after your designated time and you do it the right way and communicate, come back in 2 years. I left. I tried. I didn't like. I'm back for the the good stuff. Whatever. Come on. If we have space, come on. If not, I'll get to you as soon as I can. But just do it right. And like you said, be an example for the younger RC racers that actually do want to be that. There's going to be those handful that are like diehard, want to be a pro.
Yeah.
Don't teach them the wrong way just to jump for the best deal. I mean, look at the guys. There's a lot of people out there who set the prime example. And yes, you do see him change from time to time in different areas. Like Mayfield, I mean, he's been with companies for long periods of time. Mm-hmm. He's at the end. We say end, but age-wise, he's kind of at the end. So
I don't think there's an end for a guy like Mayfield with the work ethic that guy carries.
No, but racing is what I mean, like running up front. Yeah, so he's kind of like at the end there. But what I'm getting at as far as that is, I could see him going around a little bit sooner than he did 5-10 years ago because he's been loyal. Look at it, he's been loyal to Jason since like day one.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people he's treated very well and keeps on his program, and he's not going to change it. But we need Dakota. I mean, perfect example. Aiden Horn with AE, like these guys like that. Same with Spencer. Yeah. Like they get that and they stick with it, and that is what we need to be pushing to these up and comers. Mm-hmm. And I get the money part where not everyone can afford to race at the top level every week on their salary or their dad or parent's salary. And I understand it's expensive, and there is a soft spot in me for that, but no one said, hey, become a pro RC racer. This is cheap and easy and fun.
Yeah.
It's a job at that point. So if you're getting free stuff or getting paid, honor your contracts, do what's right. Don't teach these younger racers to do shit like that, like bail on contracts because you had a bad week or something better came out and you can get a 5% better deal.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? We're trading pennies now. And you just shit on us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, I get a lot of people ask me, like, why do we get along so well? Because, I mean, from day one, we've hit it off, and we've been really good friends ever since. When Alan White and I came with Aaron Sykes that one year for Palmetto, and we've been friends since.
Yep.
And then we found out that we have a lot of history.
Yeah.
We both raced quarter midgets together. So we've been competitive through years of our lives and in the same channels.
Yeah.
And we didn't even really know it. And, I mean, that's where, unfortunately, when guys do dip, it takes a lot of strength. I think restraint, I should say, to be able to say, hey, look, we're cool. Because I do the same thing. I mean, like, the first time Matty G left, like, it was kind of like, I took offense to it. Like, and it affected our friendship for a while. And then the second go around, I kind of saw it from a different perspective. It was, he needed to worry about what he needed to do because, let's be for real, I mean, you got to pay your bills. So he needed to take a bigger step in life. And, he's so obsessed with RC that it made me realize that, I'm looking at it from a completely wrong perspective. Like, he's got to do what he's got to do to survive, and that's like we all do, I mean, that's what pushes us. So, like, the word passion, that's like my favorite word. I mean, in my office, my old office, I had, a very nice setup, and my favorite thing on the wall was just words that had meaning behind it, failure. That was one of my favorite words because, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. I'm going to fail. We're going to fail because we're trying to push to the next level. You just learn from that,
right?
And you take it to the next level and you grow from that. And I mean, I hate to say it. I know it sounds like a negative word, but I don't look at it as a negative word. That's where, I mean, I used to get on our team page all the time and tell guys like, hey, look, I know the product's not perfect. Where are the flaws at in your opinion so that we can better it?
Right.
If it gets out of hand, I tell them now, hey, look, guys, if it gets out of hand and it's a joke to you guys, it's not a joke to me. It's not a joke for me. I don't have the time to waste to get on this and talk to you about it, but let's better the product for not only for you guys, but for the customers and for the brand.
Ultimately, that's their job.
Yeah. I mean,
even if they're not getting paid. Yeah. I mean, if you're on the team, your job is to help us develop the product and sell the product. Mm-hmm. We don't give it to you to just because like you're cool, like there's probably only a handful of cool people that exist that just get the cool guy discount. You know what I mean? Everybody else, you're expected to go out there and sell units. I mean, we have to make up for the loss of giving you, the racer a discount or free product by what you sell for us. You have to go win. You have to talk to people. You got to help them. That's some of the best people I have on any of my teams are not pros. I mean, don't get me wrong. So, our pros are really good, but there are some people that are just more willing to go out there and work on your stuff than have 1 minute of fun time with their own.
Yeah.
And those guys are worth their weight in gold. Mm-hmm. Those are the guys, in my opinion, that everyone's like, well, I'm faster than him. Yeah, but I watched that guy sit there, miss a race to help a guy get his engine running or do whatever because that guy was using what he helped him get on, what he sold for us to him, and he wants to make sure his experience is good.
Yeah.
Those are the guys, to me, that they deserve those discounts.
Yeah.
And they'll be the first to tell you, I don't want nothing for free. I just, I'd like to be on the team and be able to work with you or help you or, they want the discount, but they also know they were there at one point. They were a struggling racer probably.
Yeah, I've noticed some of the guys, like we had a couple guys on the team that even this past year, just talking with them, I kind of noticed that the discount wasn't from a financial standpoint. It was more of an appreciation standpoint. The parents had the money and they don't need the discount to stay afloat, if that's what you want to call it or whatnot. Because some of these guys, I mean, I've had people message me where I hate to say it, I don't want to name drop anybody, but they'll be like, hey man, can I get this, free? Like times are tough. Like, dude, I can tell you for me, and I almost can tell you for you, when we were younger, your parents didn't go to, you were in Stanley cars, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't go to Stanley and say, hey, can I get a discount on this car so that my son can race more? No, we just either didn't race or you worked harder to make more money.
Yep.
To do it.
100%.
Yeah, where nowadays guys are like, hey, can I get a discount so I can go run? I'm like, oh, well, what? Some of the guys are like, oh, I don't even have a job. I'm like, well, no disrespect. You probably should be focusing on getting a job instead of going outside and playing with your RC car. Like, I don't want to be.
Unfortunately, that's the problem. I mean, everyone's on instant gratification, credit card debt. And that's not just RC. We're not literally talking RC racing. We're talking life right now.
Absolutely.
And the American way.
Live outside your means.
Yeah. And I think when the people figure that out in due time, like it clicks and it changes a gear. You see them slow down. They might even get out of RC altogether, then come back in years, whatever. But most important thing, it's one of the lessons. It goes back to teaching lessons like about honoring your contract. It's the same thing with handling your money. I'm not your daddy. I'm not going to handle your money for you. However, the right thing to do is not spend your rent or food money on RC and then expect for that to pop back up magically somehow so you can pay your rent or eat. But the discount does help people that race a lot. And that, that's one of those things I think we all have to understand is people like Horizon who, with Thomas T-Tran taking over TLR and Proline, and you have, these team managers that go to these places, and some of them want the easy way out, and some of them want, are expected to do what's tough.
Yeah.
And that's get rid of people, cut the funding, cut the expenses. We need to make more money. I mean, there's no secret that the margins in our industry are terrible.
Yeah.
That's not a secret. And then on top of that, we're so competitive with so many people. You got A-Main, you got us, you got Horizon, you've got, Michael's Hobbies down there, you've got Adrenaline, all these shops that are now online and then all the hobby shops. And we're all competitive. And then you want a discount on top of our small margins. And then nobody wants to give anything back. So it's the guys that go out there and race, that put in the time, that you can see at the tracks, you can see the results. Like one of the most perfect examples of a guy that should be sponsored is Jared Wiggins. He's a
good guy.
A monster. He deserves to be a paid driver. Doesn't matter if he wins. He's quick. He makes mains, but he's so dedicated. And anybody that has him should be proud that he's on that team because he's working for you.
Absolutely.
He is 100% working for your company. Any brand that he runs, he will help and tell anyone. He'll give you feedback. Like those are the kind of guys we all wish we had.
Yeah.
Dakota's very much like that. I know that Mayfield's like that. Those guys, they report back. They're willing to put in the work. That's why they are that.
Yeah.
Those are the people that these up and comers need to pay attention to, and they need to pay attention to their off track, not just how fast they are on the track. Keep up with that. Sponsorship game's out of control, man. Still is. It's it's getting a little better. I have a different opinion than a lot of people have on the whole Horizon buyout stuff, which we'll get to soon.
Yeah.
And not just the Trinity side of things, but prior, the whole Proline, AKA side of things. The only people that are mad are the ones that got their discount taken away.
Yeah.
Product's still good.
I don't know how many times I saw guys, and don't get me wrong. I mean, with the, I know we'll touch on it, but like it was, last week was a pretty emotional week for me. I mean, a lot changed in the blink of an eye. I mean, Trinity was the longest running job I've ever had. I mean, I'm not a person, if you look at my resumes, I don't go from job to job to job to job to job. I don't. I'm a very loyal person. And, I put my heart and soul into that place. I mean, to the extent that, there was times where I got really emotional. I had to pull myself away from social media, pull myself away from the equation. But, there is a family in this industry. I mean, I consider you like a brother. I mean, I don't know if we've ever got into it, but, one of my favorite things that you've ever done, and for any competitor out there, I want them to know this, is no matter how good of friends you and I are, you have always treated the tech department at all your events very, just consistent. I've heard people, oh, well, he's friends with this person. That. No, you know what? One of the things that I grew the most respect for you was, you said to me, hey, Kevin, we're friends, but I'm not giving you any advantage in this. Like, you better come with your A game, and I don't know if you said it exactly like that, but the point is you put it out there like, hey, look, I got an event and we're going to do it by the books and we're going to do it fair. And I think that was probably one of the things that I grew the most respect for you, because it's our job to push the limits.
Of course.
But it's also our job to come with our homework and prepared. And that's where that's where my emotion and my passion, I just saw I listened to a little bit of the RIP podcast from Jason and Gotti on the way up here. And
the one that they did right after.
Yeah, the Trinity sold out or whatnot. And I messaged Jason. I mean, for somebody like him, Jason and I are completely different. I'm much more extroverted. I'm more passionate. No, I shouldn't say passionate, because Jason's very passionate. Yeah. I don't want to take that away from
You're a lot more outgoing.
I'm more raw.
Yeah.
Jason's very methodical. He's very well thought out. Sometimes I wish I could be like that, but I'm not.
Sure.
But that's what makes Jason, and that's what makes me. But he was pretty damn spot on a lot of the stuff he said. Especially with the two different kinds of Trinities. He's right. The New Jersey Trinity was very cutthroat. I mean, I remember when I interviewed. Well, I shouldn't say interviewed with, but the first time I met Ernie was at a race down in Florida, and he was scary. He basically scolded me. I won the regionals in stock truck, and he's like, I want you on my team. And I mean, now if you see me race now, people probably like, oh yeah, Kevin, you won a regionals? That's what I told some of my buddies. I was like, they're like, oh, you're not that good. I'm like, dude, it's a lot to do what you do now in this industry. I mean, it really is. But I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't change it for the world. I really wouldn't. My personal success, that's out the door. That's long gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, every last year Masters of Dirt, we were going to have a race just you and I, because we were doing so bad.
Yeah, we're just battling in the back.
But I mean, I don't see you practicing. You don't see me practicing. And that's fine. But we're up there on the driver's seat having fun. Yeah. And that's what it's about, So, I mean, it's a hobby that I love, and I'm not going to change my way, just like I don't expect Jason to change his way or whatnot. But he did hit a lot of good points, Trinity in Jersey was much different than what you see now, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I didn't like to see the racers just jumping ship, It meant a lot to me to have the support level like that. But, it also hurt me too, because I preach, follow your contracts, and
you built that team though. That's, to me, like, you watched. So, I mean, we're just going to let's get into it, because obviously that's what's kind of like.
That's the hot topic right now.
Everyone, I mean, I texted you last week and I said, motherfucker, you broke the internet today. And you did. And it wasn't, you didn't do anything wrong. When I say you broke the internet, I was joyful when I saw the outpouring support for you. To me, that shows the kind of person you were and are, and why that team was as good as it was, and why it won so many national championships, and why it does as well as it does.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't see people nobody even knew anything. So they all jumped because of you, not really with the uncertainty of Trinity. We all are uncertain.
Sure.
I mean, Horizon's known to buy companies, and they're known to, I mean, TLR is very successful. Yeah. And
it's certain it's not going to go away now.
No. Like,
now, the quality of it, or the vision of it, I don't know what that is, but the certainty it's going away, it's gone. I mean, it's here for good now.
Yeah.
Horizon's a huge company.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of great things, and they got a lot of great staff, I mean, and they got the best driver in the world, in my opinion.
I in my opinion,
you do too.
The same.
I did. I used to have him.
Yeah. It's Dakota will still, I know Dakota well enough, and I know you do, like, he'll still respect and love you for who you were, and, and all the help you gave him. Like, I know that you guys have probably had that talk, but so just so it doesn't get all jumbled up, I just kind of want to start from the beginning, because so Ernie passed away, and everybody had to have been thinking, what's going to happen with Trinity now? Like, that had to have been, especially in Trinity, inside Trinity, right? Like, so what was it like after he died? And then let's just say, after you finally kind of picked up and could get back running, everything kind of calmed down. I don't know, a week or two later after he passed. Like, what was it like at Trinity? And when did you feel like Trinity was either being courted by Horizon or another company? Or what was it like afterwards that you basically had to run the company without Ernie?
I mean, honestly, from the moment that he passed away, I've been on edge because, there's a lot of people out there that say, even right now, oh, you must hate him, this or that. I don't hate the man at all. I look at it from a different perspective. I look at it like he believed in me enough to, put this path in play. I could look at it half glass empty and say that he screwed me, this and that. But essentially, he really didn't, because he believed in me to hire me to be able to make these moves down the road, and you can't buy knowledge that Ernie carries. I mean, he was not the most liked individual. When I first started, Mayfield was one of the hardest critics on me. I'll never forget that. I mean, that's where, not to get off on a topic, but he was one of the first guys to text me last week. Anytime something happens, I want people to know, there's a lot of people that they don't walk up to Brent Densford. And, if they pass and Brent didn't say hi, you're like, oh, Brent's an asshole. No. If you know Brent, why don't you say hi to him? Because I'm going to tell you right now, these guys are there for a reason. They're not going to just stop and talk. I'm very sociable. I'll stop and talk. But, Mayfield has probably been one of the most personable guys I've ever got to meet in this industry. He was, like I said, one of the first text messages I got, but, he was also one of the very first big critics. So for the longest time, I didn't say I didn't like Mayfield. I just thought that he was, he made me earn, he was part of my motivation to get his respect down the road. Sure. And if there's a driver that's close to Ernie, I would think it's Mayfield, because people have a vision, have an image of him. But when you get to know the guy, he's completely different. And Ernie was the same way, if you did him right, he did you right. And, there's a lot of stories I heard where he did people wrong, and I apologize for all those racers or families or whatever. I wasn't a part of that time, but, when he passed away, it shook me pretty hard. He, to be given a gift to work for a company like Trinity. My dad raced RC cars. As soon as I got out of quarter midgets, we dabbled with legend cars and mini sprints. And, my dad, before that, he did RC. That's what he did. And Trinity, Tekin, Novak, those were the brands associated, the Gold Tub. And so when I had an opportunity to jump at Trinity, it was a no-brainer, because it was one of those brands that was just kind of like Jason and Gotti said, it was like the Jersey Trinity, and I don't know those days, but I know Ernie. And my God, that guy's a competitor through and through. Some of the stories that we would sit and eat lunch and in his office, and it was whatever he did with me, I thank him more than anything, because I've never been a lazy person by any means, but he made me a worker. He made me what I am today, in the sense of I got a huge drive in me, and I saw stuff on the internet, that we'll touch on as we go on, so we don't kind of scatterbrain out. He made, to sit here and say Jim Dieter and Ernie Prevedi are two mentors of yours, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of people that, Jim's not as extroverted as I am. He's pretty to himself. You get to talk to him, he'll do whatever you want, but he's not going to just walk up to you really like I will. I heard something that one of the guys said, and he said it one day, and he said, Ernie said, if you're making friends, you're not making money. And I'm not saying the Jersey days, that's not how it was. But I don't necessarily agree with that today. I mean, look at you. You're one of the friendliest guys, and you're one of the most successful guys in the industry. I mean, you've started in a hobby shop and taken Beach RC to Ultimate Assault, to one of the most prestigious events, Masters of Dirt. And you're fine with that. Like, you got the Palmetto Classic, but you don't really try to evolve that because that's like your secondary race or whatever. I don't know if that's how you classify it, but you're one of the nicest guys that this industry has. And I would say one of the most successful. If, maybe from a different perspective, I guess, success is measured in...
If you measure by money, not. But if you measure by happiness, I'm definitely up there.
Well, I've heard people say, hey, man, you know what? You're going to pour in money, this and that. And you know what? For me, it's not about the money. I mean, yes, I have a family.
It's about making a living. You got to make a living.
I have a family I got to provide for.
Yeah.
After they're taken care of, like I told a guy the other day, because, I mean, it's been pretty cool. I've had some guys that have been reaching out, and I've got a lot of outpour, and they've said to me, like, hey, I think you'll be successful, and I hope so. That's what everyone's hope is, right? But I just need to make a living.
Yeah.
And I want to give back to the hobby. I mean, I love this hobby, and I've always kind of thought, like, Chasen didn't think very highly of me or anything, but I felt a little different after watching that podcast. He said a lot of nice things, and, I reached out to him afterwards, and I think Chasen is, I wouldn't say he's the modern day Ernie, but I would say that this is Chasen's market. This is like the expendable market, tires and the little gadgets and stuff, where back in the day, the brush motors were for, like, Ernie, I don't hold him accountable for anything. I'm frustrated, but I mean, like I said, he's the only reason that I'm even sitting here today.
Yeah.
And for that, I got to thank him, and whether it's Trinity or Exalt or whatever it is, I'm going to live out each day honoring him because he did teach me a lot. And there was a lot of times where, I wanted to, lack of better terms, drive my truck through the car or drive my truck through the front doors of his office.
Yeah.
But
everyone always said he was very, very hard-headed.
He was, but man, I'll tell you though, not only was he hard-headed, but he was so passionate.
Yeah.
So passionate, man. I mean, and I've always been a passionate person, but I think I got a lot of that from him as well. I've heard people say that you and Ernie were good yin and yang, but it really started with Ernie and Dieter. They were the yin and yang. Dieter was so just to himself. He wanted to. They both want to thrive. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Ernie built a great thing around him, and for him to welcome me into that was extremely. I was appreciative, and even at the time, I don't think I even knew what I was offered.
Right.
But there was a lot of things that he did too that I didn't care for. Like he didn't really care for, or he didn't have the personal side that I think I have, but he had the business side. So he would always tell me like, "Oh, you're not a business guy," but I think that was something that drove me to learn the business side from him. Because. I mean, like I said, you're the same way. I mean, I want to help everybody. I do. I mean, but as long as my family's taken care of and my bills are paid, then everything else is I'm not going to say it's a waste, but it's I'd like to give back.
Sure.
Because it bothered me that Trinity was viewed as this company that never cared about the racers. I heard stories from like Drake, how he never got a last paycheck, or Cavalieri. I don't remember what Cavalieri's exact thing was, but when we start shopping for drivers and we finally got to that level where it was time to look for a pro, after building a team, because yeah, you're right. I mean, when I started, I mean, I was on the team, and Ernie didn't even know it. Like he came up to me and was like, "Hey, you want to get on the team?" Like, and I was running, Billy Bruce actually had a battery at the time. I don't remember the name of it, but I was running his battery because it was much more affordable at the time. And, when you don't know the difference of the product, you that price point really does sell. I mean, it does.
Sure.
And like now, I mean, for the last couple of years, I think the products got better at Trinity, and I'm not saying that it wasn't because of Ernie or it was because of Ernie or anything, but you got to a point where I'm not saying that the price didn't matter, because just like you said, the margins are small, even for the motor game, being that, you got Roar, but then you got IFMAR, EFRA, all these, you got different rules for different ones. And then we're Awesomatics can sell a car for $1,000, but we have to sell a motor for $149.99.
Right.
When the price goes up on the materials for that motor, we absorb it, but we can't do anything else about it on the flip side.
Well, I think Roar is definitely going to change for the better, especially with some good influence amongst the community of every part of RC. So like, the motor and battery guys like you, the chassis guys, the tire people, the body people, they right now have a voice that they haven't had in a long time, because those guys are willing to listen.
Yeah.
But so after Ernie passed, did it was it just like business as normal? Like he died, everyone mourned, a couple weeks, however a month goes by, and then like, this is just the way, like, this is the new Trinity. Yeah. I mean, there was somebody, probably a family member or somebody, I got to assume, that's running the business, just not day to day like Ernie was.
Yeah.
And then you were the VP, team manager, you were running things. So like, did you ever feel like your door was going to get kicked in like this and just get bounced? Or if Trinity was buying and you knew about it, or not Trinity, if Horizon was buying Trinity and you knew about it, did you think you're just going to become an employee of Horizon? Like, what was going on for this last 6 to 8 months?
I mean, to touch on that, I won't mention any names, but I reached out to a couple people, after the acquisition, and they basically kind of came at me like as if like I left them high and dry, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like they were under the impression that I was being offered a position. And I knew from day one that if it was Horizon, I didn't think it was going to really matter, because when the TLR position opened up a couple years ago, I did apply for it. And, not necessarily sure I was going to take it, but I wanted to apply for it because those positions don't open up often. And you and I are both great friends with T-Tran. So, like, I was so happy to see T-Tran get it. And to be quite honest with you, a little relieved that I didn't. Especially now seeing all the stuff that he has on his plate,
Oh, yeah. That man's busy.
Yeah. And I joked with him the other day. I sent him a picture of my hat. I said, hey, you want me to mail this to you? Just trying to make some light of the situation.
Sure.
So I hope everybody out there knows that my personality is, sometimes I have to kind of find some funny in it to smile.
That's one of those things, if you know, that's actually really funny.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
But I mean, yeah, when Ernie passed, it was get back to work, because I knew that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And he set everything up where his daughter basically paid all the bills, and but the day-to-day stuff, I mean, basically they relied on me. And, obviously Jim Dieter was doing all the designing and stuff, as Jim does, just phenomenal work as always. But, he's up in Joliet, Illinois. So there was a lot of times where the pressure was real. Like, I felt like an owner, but I didn't have any perks.
Right.
And it wasn't that the pressure was being put on by any person of the Prevetti family, or of anyone by Dieter or anything like that. It was all within myself. It was my time to prove to Ernie that I can do what he taught me.
Right.
And, even through all that, when Ernie passed away, a lot of the staff started questioning, where are we going with this? And one of our staff members quit, just unexpectedly, just didn't even give 2 weeks, just didn't even say anything to me, just walked out the door like on a Thursday, and see you later. And then about 5 minutes later, I get a text message, I quit. I'm not coming back. I'm like, oh, great. So there was the months of like November and December of last year were extremely stressful. And I mean, and that's where the team, I give them so much credit, Because really, like you said, I'm a team manager, but I have not been the team manager since Ernie passed away, because I had to make sure the company was going.
Right.
I didn't want to fail him. I didn't want to fail his family. I didn't want to fail anybody that was involved. I'm not going to say I'm not going to fail. I'm going to fail a million times, but I don't ever want to fail. I like to make people happy. I like to see people succeed. And it's hard to do that if you're failing, So the pressure was all within myself. And so I don't know how, like when Ernie was still around, like we had talks, and like he made me out to feel like I was taken care of. And then when all said and done, like, man, I just felt very unappreciated towards the end. Actions speak louder than words. And there was a couple times where I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the daughter and I, we would be in my office and we would both be tearing up, because her dad's gone, my mentor's gone, and it never made things any easier, And I thought that we were getting past a lot of that. And I heard, I'm gonna put this out there. I heard Jason say something. I'm gonna tell you right now, Trinity was very successful, very successful. I'm not gonna go into any more detail than that, but.
Well, I feel like it had to have been for Horizon to buy them. Like Horizon's not going to go buy a dying company of something that they already are in the same space. You know what I mean?
But I think Jason's right on a lot of things. Like he kept talking about like I don't think they need them. Like I don't know where Trinity kind of fits in.
They didn't need AKA. Like it didn't make sense that they went out and bought a second tire company. That still to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I still feel like there's some loyalty and some like old school Losi style love, you know, like we sold you TLR, now AKA and listen, this isn't coming from someone that knows anything. I'm just in my mind, I was thinking like, why would they buy AKA? So I think there's a little bit of that, and there could very well be some like, this is our chance to do something we always wanted to do, to take over this company or get rid of this company, whatever. I mean, nobody really knows yet. I mean, they haven't made a statement. Obviously this is probably one of the first times most people are going to hear from you once this gets posted.
Yeah, I haven't really talked much because I'm not going to lie, for like when you reached out to me about doing it, like, I got a lot of people that started reaching out, there's some podcasts out there I've never even heard of that want to do stuff. And I'm not trying to blast anybody. I'm really not. I'm just trying to, just talk about it because to be quite frank for me, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the podcast, but I knew that you were probably the perfect person to do it with because you care about me.
Yeah.
For lack of better terms, you're not going to put me in a situation where you're going to try to make me, get emotional and whatnot, because it was, like I said, for the whole weekend, my family saw a lot of tears out of me, and,
dude, no one can really understand what someone like you went through for this. So everything over the last year and a half, 2 years, like the way it just happened, it's, I could see where it could be very, very tough emotionally and all that. The main thing is, and you were exactly right. I didn't bring you on. The last thing I want is to make you look bad.
Absolutely.
I definitely don't want to make Horizon look bad. Like,
no,
I'm not that kind of person.
I'm not even blaming Horizon for anything.
No,
it's a business move.
Absolutely.
Smart business move.
If anyone thinks that, then they're not listening. But the fact that you came on here, I appreciate that because we got that exclusive, bitch.
I had to drive from Florida to come just do this.
You did, but there was supposed to be fun involved, and in all this, what a hell of a last couple days. So like I'm just stoked that you guys are here. But all right, so everything kind of felt so. What I'm gathering, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, summarizing here. What I'm gathering is like everything was kind of like just emotional. You guys were just you were trying to keep it going, keep it growing, do what you were doing before Ernie died. And
I actually wanted to do better.
Of course.
I really wanted to, not to shove it in his face, but to make him proud.
Yeah.
My dad owned a company, and my dad, he always said to me, like, one of the biggest things that I regret, Kevin, was Jerry was one of the best employees I ever had, and I was too proud to let him run with it. Like, Ernie needs to let you run with it. Like, you're passionate. and this and that. And, my dad didn't see eye to eye with Ernie. He raced back in the day, so I'm sure he knew Ernie a little bit, but he wanted to see that. And, I wanted to be the guy that could carry Ernie's legacy on, because without him, I'm nowhere in this industry. I'm just a racer.
Do you feel like, though, that you did that? Like, do you feel like you ran with it?
I think I could have done better. I will say the Nationals last year, right after Ernie passed away, I had some drivers, and some people have said, over the years, why I stuck by Tater Sontag's side, or this or that, or Tyler Jones or whatever. Let me tell everybody one thing about Tyler Jones. He's ran for both of us. Tyler Jones came to me because Ernie was always about stock, always not pressuring, but trying to hardly convince, kind of nudge guys, like the top guys, to run stock so that, he could win as many races as possible. And that's what we're here for, but Tyler he didn't want nothing to do with it. And after Ernie passed, Tyler reached out to me. He was like, hey, dude, let's go to Nationals and let's go win Ernie a national title. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to run stock. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, it's fitting. That's the race Ernie wanted me to run stock. And I told him no. We were actually going to try to get him to run Masters of Dirt for stock. Or I was, because for me, Masters of Dirt's, it's a prestigious event, but it's also a very fun event. So I was trying to push it towards that because I was trying to play devil's advocate. I was trying to, my boss here, who is so, dude, I've seen that guy slam his hand on the table where all the way across on the other side of the track, the drivers could hear it. I've heard some epic rumors from things that Ernie did back in the day. And I don't know if they're true or not. I've been waiting to get some confirmation from certain drivers. At Ernie's funeral, I even was going to talk to Joel about it because, that was to me, that was the perfect person to take the position, to take the reins. I heard a lot of people say, oh, I was this and that, and it made me feel good. But I came into a company that's been around for 30 years before I started.
Right.
So the support from that meant a lot to me, but it wasn't, I didn't think that I earned that spot. I felt that I could carry that on, but I didn't feel like I earned that spot. So I always worked harder to do it, and after Ernie passed away, and especially after some of our staff quit because they were uncertain of what was going to go on, I was working 20-hour days. To the point where I was having to beg, we didn't have anyone doing invoicing, so I would do invoicing. I was doing the team stuff. I was doing the preparation for new products. And it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I just, honestly, there was times where I just wanted it to end, so I think over that last year of Ernie being gone, it made me realize that there was a lot of things I kind of complained to him face to face about, but, he really, especially behind closed doors, he showed me a different side of him. There was one time where he yelled at me so bad off of a mistake that was his fault. I fixed it, but I didn't get his respect yet to step into that role. So he looked at it as I was undermining him when I was just trying to fix something, because anybody that dealt with Ernie knew that he was the hardest man to get on the phone sometimes. And I hear that guys saying that about me now, but they don't really even understand the workload I got on my shoulders right now, or even for the last year for that matter. So I apologize for all those people that think that I'm ignoring him or whatnot, because that's far from the truth.
That's why we have this office.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't get any work done over there.
Oh, yeah, because people don't understand that if it's just one person walking in and it's a 5-minute, conversation, it might end on to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then, it just, next year, your day's over.
Yeah.
So the last couple of days, I've done a lot of talking, and it's like, oh my God, where'd the day go?
Right.
But yeah, Ernie just, he expected the best, right? And I wanted to give him the best. I wanted him to know that he was leaving the company in right hands. And there was all this uncertainty, and unfortunately, I always tried to defend him in certain scenarios that I don't know if I was defending without the knowledge, I guess. Like, did he actually do this or did he not, you know? But one thing is true about Ernie was if you had his back, he had your back. And I know that there's a lot of racers out there that may feel, oh, great, that means Ernie never had my back or he didn't think I ever had his back. And that's not true. The way he handled racers might be a little bit different. But the people that handled the livelihood of his day-to-day operation and stuff, you know, I mean, we sit down and have lunch and stuff. And the stuff that we talk about was really what helped me after he was gone. And, you know, the staff, the team, I thanked them daily because it's not a one-man band, you know, it's a team. I mean, and it's something that for the last year, I've been very appreciative of the team because I have not been a team manager. You know, I was basically running the day-to-day operation of at one point in time, the biggest motor company in the industry, you know, and I mean, and I still held Trinity to that standard, you know, and actually at this race last year, I was talking to Kyle Go and Andrew Daniels, and they were, I said to him, you know, Trinity's here, but I want to take it here. And they're like, Kevin, what are you talking about? Like, dude, you want to take it here, but we already see Trinity up here. Like, you know, everyone's seen that Matthew McConaughey thing where he, you know, this or that. Yeah. I wanted to be better than Ernie. Right. I knew I was never going to be better than Ernie because he was something special. For the lack of term, better in a good way and bad way, you know?
He was an icon, man. Like, he got started long before you and I into the effect of, like, Trinity was in the DNA of competitive RC since day one, like almost since day one.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to even compare any newer company or anybody in this era to that.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a few brands, few people that are still alive today that can even say they were around for that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you just gotta you want to be Kevin Abbott.
Yeah.
You know, you want that era of Trinity, the Kevin Abbott era of Trinity, to be the freaking the best.
It wasn't going to touch the Jersey
had.
days.
Well, it might not have, but we always got to reach for something. If you're not goal oriented, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what do you do every day if you don't have goals and something you're trying to achieve? Literally, what are you doing with your life? I don't care if that goal is to buy a new truck or if that goal is to finish college. Like, have a fucking goal.
Yeah.
If you don't have a goal, what are you literally waking up for?
I couldn't imagine because Trinity gave me a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, my family's always been my purpose, right? But Trinity gave me something that, like, I discovered a passion that I never knew I had. And, like, I tell the team drivers all the time, like, they are my passion. They motivate me because I don't like to see frowns, you know, I don't. And, you know, you said something earlier and you're right. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Trinity by any means. And I'm not going to make it sound like I created this or I created that, but I did build the team with, obviously there was already some established racers, Andrew Knapp, Josh Searle, you know, Anthony Searles, Jeremy Riley. Those guys were there from day one. Jeff Dager, you know, those guys were there when I was there. Well, Jeff Dager wasn't. Jeff Dager actually kind of, he was a smart guy. He kind of stepped away, got his education, and then came back. But he was an OG from the Jersey days.
Yeah.
You know, and I never wanted to compare today's Trinity to the Jersey Trinity because, just like you said, it's an unfair comparison. Yeah. You know, it's almost like trying to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James. No disrespect to either or. I mean, you know, but it's an unmeasurable goal, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's just different times. So
yeah.
The brushed motor versus the brushless motor, totally different eras. It's just totally different.
Yeah.
We can't compare it right now.
No, not at all.
It's not quantifiable. It's at the moment, the most quantifiable thing is, in my opinion, is the people. And that's why, you know, I feel the one thing I did not see coming, and I understand it, and I appreciate it because I know you, and I told you this is what you were talking about before. We talked about this off camera, was I didn't expect the outpouring of support for you that came with your exit.
Yeah.
Like the fact that all those people left Trinity not knowing what the deal is going to be because they wanted to do or support your quick exit, which we haven't got to yet. That to me showed a lot about how much people like you and love you and the passion that you had, because those people literally have no idea what you're doing and they have no idea what Trinity's doing or what Horizon's doing with Trinity.
Yeah.
Nobody had a clue. And before it even, the paint was dry, they had all left because no matter what, they were following you.
I had a couple guys that I won't mention their name just yet because I don't know if they want me to mention it, but they're world-class racers, and they have hobby shops overseas or whatever may have you. But before, like, they're like, hey, we want to sell your stuff. By the way, what are you going to do? Like, that was the funniest thing to me, is like, we want to sell your stuff, but they didn't even know what I was going to do.
Right.
Is it just accessories? Is it what, and like I said, I didn't want this. I wanted to carry Trinity on. And, Ernie, I don't want to sit here and create this stigma that there's anything issue between Ernie's family and I. I mean, I feel for his family. They lost their father, and they don't have a whole lot of family, so even throughout all of this, I'm still there for the Privettis. Like, I'm there. Like, if they need me, I'm here for them. I'm frustrated with the situation at hand, because I felt like I was a little slighted. I felt like, not necessarily saying I should have had an offer to buy it because, they don't know my financial situation or anything like that, but Horizon was a perfect pick as far as longevity. And I know what they can be capable of, but what are they going to do? That's the question mark. And, and it's not even just that, it's the behind the scenes stuff. And honestly, the one thing that I will take from all of this was, people would say, hey, look, you're doing a good job, this and that. And okay, great. But I'm very critical of myself. I'm my worst critic. And even when people tell me I'm doing good, I don't think I'm doing good. And, that's where the team comes into play. They do a lot for me. I mean, the team, like, I'm telling you right now, I mean, I hate to keep going back to Masters of Dirt, but 2 years ago, Masters of Dirt, Brendan Schimmel was with Phantom, and he TQ'd, locked it up, and actually, can I grab one?
Yeah, of course.
And
I wouldn't get myself one when I'm getting one.
and he took off on the start and totally botched up the whole race.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And it was one of those scenarios that, like, he was in tears, man, because he wanted it bad. Like, Brendan Schimmel's got passion.
Yeah.
He's got passion like I've never seen before. And that's what I love about Brendan. And that's what makes me gravitate towards Brendan. Like, he's a huge part of a driver for me. But, like, dude, I pushed him into your bathroom. The open bathroom, not the closed bathroom.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear. And, dude, he cried on my shoulder. Like, he was heartbroken. And after Ernie passed, we came here. AJ Marasco dominated Masters of Dirt for the longest time. And then it started establishing levels of competition where Kyle Go gave AJ all he could handle. Brendan Schimmel gave AJ all he could handle. And you started seeing AJ get knocked off his throne. But the year that Brendan won, like, he pushed me into your bathroom and I was crying. Not for Trinity. And it's not that I didn't care about Trinity. It was because he got to capture what he botched the year before.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, that meant a lot because, like I said, I mean, I didn't understand it, but it was like, I just knew how much Ernie loved to win. And to go to nationals and to do what we did where we TQ'd and we went 1, 2, 3 with, let me tell everybody, Caden Fuller. Oh my God.
Kid's a beast. Dude,
the Fullers showed up to the nationals at SDRC with dust on their 10-scale cars. I'm like, oh, good Lordy, what are we going to be doing here? Monster motors still in their cars. Like, they're not even on the current. They're so outdated. It's not even funny. And Mason made the A main and mod, and Caden battled with two of the best, Tyler Jones and Brendan Schimmel. And Trinity went 1, 2, 3 with the TQ. And that was like, I walked outside because I don't like to people see like, the emotion sometimes. And dude, I teared up so hard, and I was like, this is for you, E, because that's what he lived for. Jason said something that resonated with me, and he's right. Ernie did not need Trinity to stay around. He wanted Trinity to stay around. He just was such a competitor that he gave up his whole family for this. I mean, didn't have a wife, had 3 kids that he raised by himself. How he did everything, I don't know. I really don't. And, knowing all that about him, it just made me want to be that much better. It made me want to be respected by Ernie. And so like, it's been a long year. It's been a long year, and
yeah,
I'm glad it's over now. I hate to say it. I really do. I mean, it sucks. If I could do it all over again, I would change the outcome, I guess, and hope that maybe, like I said, I thought Joel Johnson would have been a perfect fit, or even a Jim Dieter. Those guys are with the company forever, and they're icons, so nothing against Horizon. It was a great business decision for them, but it still makes me question what the direction of the company is.
Well, that's what so from an outsider looking in, someone that spends money with that company, and both companies really, Horizon and Trinity, but I'm thinking to myself, I started just trying to think like, why did they come in and clean house? Like, why not buy the company? I would imagine the books are in the black, so it's not like it's losing money. And they didn't get it at a discount because it's losing money. Like it wasn't a company that was going down. So they spent, I have no idea what numbers are, but they got it for a good deal. Well, that's all I'll say. They still had to have spent some money. Really. So in my mind, I'm thinking they had to come in and spend some money, but they cleaned house without even, I don't know what you can say. So, and I don't want you to get in trouble, but like, did they even talk to you? Did they even like ask you, would you be interested in working for us? Did they ask you like, were you part of the conversation?
So when Ernie's lawyers basically were the head of the trust, and the communication was dismal at best. I even had a couple people got involved with the lawyers, and they're like, oh my God, they don't communicate for nothing. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, because they would come at me.
That's the worst.
Yeah, they were like, and it was just very demoralizing because when they needed a question answered, I answered it. But when I needed a question answered, it never got answered. It was like crickets. And that really started just adding up, where I started questioning, why am I working 20-hour days? Because before I didn't have a problem with that. And I've got a very understanding wife that, not only will cook dinner, but she'd have the dinner wrapped up in a bowl for me because it would be 10, 11 o'clock at night. And Ron sure would reach out to me because he'd see my little green dot on Facebook, He'd be like, Kevin, you need to get some sleep, man. Because I'd get up at 5. There was times where I was going to work at 5 a.m. and I wasn't getting home till 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then I'd get home and I was talking with some of our vendors in China. So, you talk to some of these employees we had, and it would drive me nuts because it was an 8 to 6 job for them, and that's fine.
Yep, just is what it is.
But whatever Ernie did with me, he made me realize that it wasn't an 8 to 6 job for me. It was 24/7, 365, and my whole family bought in. I bought in, so I felt a little disrespected, and there was a little bit of animosity. But at the end of the day, I also remember that. The people in charge too just lost their father, and they're young kids, so they don't have, I'm complaining about losing a job, but they don't have a father. Like, so it kind of, I would have to bite my tongue in the way I would say things because we would battle it. We would bump heads, and it wasn't, we would work through it and we would get through it because we knew the big picture was for the betterment of the company. Even though maybe the visions were not exactly the same on both sides of the table, I guess, right? But I have a whole level, I have a huge level of respect, even though I do feel very betrayed. And I don't know if they feel that I don't know if they feel like that's a warranted feeling on my end, because, you know, I mean, I know the person I am, and sometimes I might try to play victim. You know, I've noticed that about myself when you know, but in this situation, I didn't feel it. I felt like at least the opportunity should have been asked. You know,
so you didn't get asked, or you're talking about buying the company?
Just anything with it. Yeah. I mean, you know, Ernie,
you didn't get talked to at all about keeping your job, you know, being on employed still by Trinity, Horizon, anything like that wasn't on the table?
No, I mean, so basically when push came to shove, my vice president, if you want to call it that, position in choices made nothing. But soon as I started talking and I got privileged to a little bit of knowledge, you know, with all these rumors that go around about how Ernie wasn't loyal to these drivers or this or that, like I was touching earlier about, you know, getting a pro, you know, Ernie really wanted Spencer Rivkin, you know, and at the time when we were getting a pro, Spencer was on top of his game, you know, but I think Ernie felt a little bit slighted by Dakota because in 2014, you know, Ernie was this guy that he wanted it now. Like, if there's one thing that I will say I never agreed with Ernie was the loyalty aspect. Like, I will never, ever push a driver to jump ship because if he'll do it for you, he'll do it to you.
Yep.
You know, so I never wanted to see that side of a driver. So nor did I ever push at it, where Ernie was like, you know, he went up to Nancy. He was like, I want your boy now. And Nancy, being the small little firecracker that she is, basically told Ernie, no. told the big wig of Trinity no, and I think it really hurt Ernie's pride.
It's like the motor mafia boss.
Yeah, you know, and so I think Ernie was, you know, a little. He wanted Dakota, but he also didn't want Dakota too. He wanted to prove a point. I don't need you, Dakota. You didn't want to come to me when I wanted you,
right.
You know.
Sure.
And I just kept telling Ernie, like, look, it's nothing against Spencer. I think the world of Spencer. I think the world of all the pros. You know, I mean, I don't want to make enemies anywhere, unless you want to come at me and make enemies, or you want to talk crap about my boss after he passes away. You know, and who that goes to, they know who it is.
Yeah, that's classless.
I'm not going to mention any names. I'm going to keep it professional in that sense. When we got Dakota, like, Dakota was kind of a little nervous because he heard all these rumors, you know, like, hey, look, like, am I going to get, you know, trouble here or there? And I wanted him because I just, you know, if you're in this, you see when the waves kind of shift, and it was shifting into Dakota Finn's favor. Like, he was becoming the phenom. Like, he's always had that nickname, the phenom. And I'm not saying that he's never been the phenom, but it was like Dakota's coming into himself 100%. I mean,
you could see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to be, if not the most talented driver in the world, one of the.
He's top 5, top 3, top 2, like, he's there.
You know,
for sure.
and you see it with Mayfield. Mayfield shows the respect to Dakota now. I mean, and that's all, for me, I have nothing in that. But for me to see that and to know that that means something to Dakota, that's awesome to see, you know. And when we started having talks with Dakota, you know, he's like, look, I don't really know Kevin, you know, like, you know, I've heard these rumors. I told him, I said, listen, buddy, I said, I give you my word. I will never let anything happen. Not saying it will, but I'm just going to add some confidence on top of this, that if push comes to shove and something ever does happen and it's not the right thing, I will resign. I will put my job on the line. Not because I'm irreplaceable. Everybody's replaceable. But in that time, like I said, Ernie, I don't think he kept Trinity going because he needed it. It was a pride thing.
Yeah.
Like,
he wanted to keep winning.
Yes, exactly. Like, he was at a point in his life where marriage, you know, was not, you know, he had his family, and, you know, he sunk his heart and soul into this. And the worst part about it is, after all this, I looked and I said, you know what? 69 years old. That's how old Ernie was when he passed away. And I'm like, man, that stinks. But, like, I hope to live to be 69 because the stress that I've had for the last couple of years has been through the roof. And, you know, these don't really help, but they do. Mm-hmm. They help in the moment, but they're not good for the body, I guess, in longevity, you know.
I ain't gonna lie. I didn't want to wake up this morning. I had a few too many of those.
I needed to be here yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like I was working the night before, man, and I was just like, okay, I gotta leave at 3 a.m. to get here, so I'm not holding you guys up to be on the water by 11. And my wife texts me and she says, "You coming to bed?" And I look and it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh shit. And so I felt bad. I was like, I'm just gonna text Brent. So I didn't want you guys to be sitting there waiting and be like, hey, where's Kevin? You know.
Remind me to send you or show you a picture when we're done. It's something that I probably shouldn't show to the world. So from yesterday,
I'll definitely try to remember that. You know, but you know, I mean, Ernie was a lot of things. You know, and I didn't see a lot of the sides that people portrayed him to be. I mean, there's some people out there that I'm not going to mention names that freaking they wouldn't buy a Trinity product until the company was out of a Pravetti's hands, period.
Yeah.
And like that bothered me. Like
that's going to be like that for all companies.
Sure. But I mean,
we've all got that hater or enemy or somebody who knows they can do it better but have never tried, you know, it's jealousy, envy, just straight up ignorance. Like there's so many things. Nobody wants to see anybody successful anymore. Everybody is always about if you're better than them. There's very few people that are going to be like, man, that guy's just killing it. Good for him. You know, I shouldn't say there's not a lot. There's a lot. Let me just say there's a lot of people that are very much a hater versus the people that you just hope you should be and hope you are to support people's success. Mm-hmm. And so many people that just don't want to see you succeed. You, me, anybody, because they either don't have the drive, the work ethic, the support system, whatever it takes, because it takes it all.
Oh.
It takes it all. Like you said, your wife, your family. My family did not buy into me starting this business. Luckily, I've been able to make a living, because if I didn't, it would have been even worse. You know,
every Masters of Dirt, isn't it your anniversary?
So I done fucked that up. Like this year literally ends on our anniversary. So this year it's on Sundays, main days is my anniversary. But yeah, so we have to take our anniversary in November. So yeah, man, it's so much. Oh my gosh. I preach it on this show, and I preach it when I'm talking to people. Like they don't understand the amount of time and effort that goes into these. Aren't just businesses where we show up and have a cup of coffee in the computer and check emails and say hi to Joe when he walks through the front door, and you know, and the secretary you know, is answering the phones. And yeah, there are companies that have that, big companies, you know, those are the A-Mains, the Horizons, these like conglomerates. Like we're small. You know, a lot of people don't understand that about Beach RC. We are small. We do stuff on skeleton crew. It's hard to find people to work. We all are overworked, and you know, and then probably all of us are underpaid. But we love it.
Yeah.
And our families have to deal with that side of it. That we actually love something outside of our family, which we love our families. You know, and that's, I have to balance that. You have to balance that. You know, Ryan Mayfield has to balance that. Anybody that has a family that's waiting at home has to balance that. Some people are good at it, and some people are poor at it.
Yeah.
I'm average. I try to keep everyone happy. I don't do it all the time, but it works. You know, like I do what I can.
Yeah.
So it's days like yesterday that make up for a month of not being home when I should be.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be home when I should be. Mm-hmm. But we don't get to do that.
I was honestly trying really hard to get my whole family to come up here because, like I said, as good of a friend as you are, like, obviously I know our wives won't see each other all the time, but like, it would have been cool to kind of like connect, right? Yeah. Because just like you said, I mean, this whole industry, we love it, but it is a stressful industry.
Very much.
And the racers, they don't really get to see the side. Like I've heard, you know, from where I go to a race and guys are like, oh, Kevin's an asshole. What did you do? I mean, and I used to think that. I used to think, like I said, I used to walk by Mayfield and think he was an asshole because he just was to himself. But they're there to win, you know, and there's probably nobody out there that's as determined as Mayfield. I mean, realistically. I mean, I'm not taking any other driver away. But, like, Ryan is a competitor through and through.
Yeah, he hates to lose.
I mean, I'm going to say something, and Ryan, I apologize. But, like, you know, when he finally kind of started speaking to me or whatnot, you know, he really kind of opened up and was like, you know, just, you know, we would shoot little texts here and there, right? Like, you know, hey, good job. Or, you know, like I joked around at the vision race and I was like, hey, dude, you better not let Dakota get to that rear wing, because if he gets to it, he's fucking just sending that thing like white on rice. Like, he is just gonna just root you. And he's like, ha, 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 you know? But, like, I texted him one time, just asked him a question about a Protec battery, you know, and he calls me. He's got a kid crying in the background, this and that, and, you know, he is just working 24/7 just to beat Dakota, you know? And some people look at that like a moment of weakness, but dude, I'll tell you, that right there, when I walked away from that conversation, like Dakota is Dakota. But Ryan, to me, took a whole nother level. Like, I started seeing him in obviously the way that Rona sees him. Like, Rona's had 100% confidence in Mayfield from day one. And why don't you? I mean, the guy's proven winner, you know, and I don't think he's got the talent that Dakota's got. You know, no disrespect, but he makes up for it in other ways, you know, and that's where I think that Ryan is inspirational, you know, because talent given isn't talent earned to me. You know, like, I'm not knocking Dakota, because Dakota's got
he
that.
Earned his.
Yeah, he's got that.
He's been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these racers don't really understand. One of the biggest things that Dakota's taught me himself is you got to find balance. You know, like, listen to Dakota talk sometimes. Like, he doesn't want to go club race, because if he goes and has fun and just one guy beats him, I beat Dakota Fend. And he has to hear that.
Yeah.
When really, no disrespect, buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're not going to beat Dakota in a real race. You know, I'm talking the locals.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not knocking him. You know, I mean, what's the saying? A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, or whatever.
Yeah. I was trying to find that nut at Masters after everybody was gone in October.
Dude, I'm always looking for that. I tell you right now, I'm always looking for it, man.
But he still beat me, as drunk as he was, and yeah. Like,
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Dude, that night. I got that picture
There's
still.
probably still video of us.
Poor Schimmel.
Yeah. Yeah, Schimmel got glued.
Oh my God. That was honestly one of them. That night was a huge thing for me. Like, in all seriousness, because, you know, the pressure that after Ernie passed, to put on, it was pressure that I put on myself. But, like, you need those scapegoat days, you know, and that's where Masters of Dirt will always be not a I was getting ready to say bucket list, because that's not true, because ever since I've been to the first one, I haven't missed one since.
Yeah.
And from the first one I went to, I saw the potential, and I saw what you brought to the table, and it's something that I've got a lot of friends that have races and hobby shops, and I don't want to discard their events by any means. But dude, Masters of Dirt is the freaking event.
It's fun.
Like I kept telling Dakota before you and Dakota got linked, I was like, dude, you got to come to Masters, man. Like, it's going to change. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
And Dustin Evans was just killing it, you know? I mean, so I got tired of seeing Dustin win. And I'm not saying Dakota was going to beat him, but Dakota was going to be the guy to at least come in and you know, start giving Dustin a run for his money. But man, I tell you, you've done such a phenomenal job with that event, and you've planted yourself in this industry in certain ways that no one will be able to replace, you know, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to fill a void that, you know, we lost this empire. We lost the myth, the legend, Ernie Pervetti, and I knew what he expected of me. And we didn't always see eye to eye. Like, his views and my views were completely different. Like, he demands wins. And that's fine, but you can't demand a win, because it's a racing. I demand effort. If you give 100% effort, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah.
Let the cards fall however they fall. You know, you win, you win. I mean, you know, Tyler Jones a couple years ago here was by hands down the fastest stock car. I mean, dude, he was, I think you and I were sitting there talking, he would have qualified like second in modified in his stock car. And he made just a careless error and flipped over by a corner marshal that was, you know, I don't know what he was doing, but he went from first to last, and that dominance up to that point went away like that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difference, in my opinion, of like a lot of the stuff you see now is like, it's, trying to think of the word for it, but it's, the competitiveness of this hobby is why I think Ernie was so in love with his hobby. You know, I mean, I would challenge anybody to go win in Worlds and quit racing the next day. Ernie Pavetti did that. He won the Worlds in slot cars and never picked up a controller ever again. Dude, I don't know how he did that. I really don't.
Wow.
You know, so I mean, I got a lot of pent up aggression over the last year. You know, I think that I thought that I earned the right to learn a little, or to have at least the recognition that maybe something could be, you know. I mean, we continued to win. The team, I'm not taking anything away from the other guys. Every team has some ridiculously good talent. I mean, Templeman, phenomenal, you know. I mean, there's so many teams out there, but dude, I tell you, I love the Trinity team. Like, they were so fun to be around, and they were so competitive, and they pushed each other to higher lengths. And to have that all yanked from you was just, it was a lot, you know, especially when the man himself said, "Hey, Kevin, you're taken care of," you know, and nothing got elaborate from that, because no one wants to talk about their death. You know, so it was hard for me to say, "Hey, Ernie, like, when you pass away, what's going on with the company?"
Right.
Like, it was hard for me to say that. I didn't want to say that because, you know, Ernie was in bad shape for a long time. You know, it wasn't like some people I heard say that, "Oh my God, what did he do? Like, die overnight?" I'm like, no, man, he was bad. Like, it was probably, you know, a couple, I don't want to say an exact number, but it was a couple years that he was, you know, in a rehab facility trying to improve. And I'd go visit him. And let me tell you, man, for somebody that I loved and hated all in one, the motivation that I had, and I think that's where it kind of spilled over with this whole Horizon thing, was, you know, he made me feel like he was going to give me an opportunity to possibly be the guy to take it over. And, you know, and I'm not saying that I earned that, because I don't want to discredit all the other amazing talents out there. Like I said, I mean, in my mind, I thought it was Joel. I thought he was a perfect fit. I mean, Magic Man, he made Trinity what it was.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, that was a perfect fit. And that's nothing against Horizon, but still to this day, the perfect fit to me is Joel Johnson. And I thought that might have been like, that was the person that, if you would have said, "Hey, who are you picking?" That was my pick. And it was nothing against anybody else. And I just, honestly, I didn't want it to be Horizon, because stop buying all these damn companies, dude. I mean, you know, the problem is you can only be so successful. You know, I mean, at least I believe that, you know, and, you know, I wanted to keep rising the bar, but dude, it got so hard. And sometimes then I started sitting back and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to listen to Andrew Daniels and I'm going to listen to Kyle Go, and I need to back it down a little, you know, because if they think we're up here and I want to be up here, well, maybe I'm viewing this in the wrong manner. But that's just the way Ernie pushed you. And he was in the grave and he pushed you to that, you know? And, you know, I've got a lot of emotions, some good, some bad. But I'm not going to carry the negativity on anymore. I'm really not, because it's not going to do me any justice in the future. And I don't want to discredit somebody like Ernie, who really pushed me to make me a better person, you know, in some areas. Some areas, no disrespect to Ernie, I didn't want to be nothing like him.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stories where, you know, it would make me feel like, why would anyone want to do business with him, or why?
Yeah.
You know, I did business with Trinity because of you. I've never even met Ernie, never talked to him on the phone, nothing. Everything I did with Trinity was through Kevin Abbott, period. But it was a company, and honestly, I wasn't even interested in bringing in Trinity until you came to the first Palmetto, and I watched you help people that didn't even have Trinity motors. As a Trinity guy, not trying to sell them, like, hey, let me look at it. Let me look at your motor, or let me time it. Let me do this. And the warm and fuzzies around my shop at Palmetto, because some, you know, the people coming up and telling me, like, that dude's awesome. That, I already knew what kind of person you were. And so the company, I was like, oh, okay, well, let's start off with this.
I remember you actually came up to me and you're like, hey man, maybe we should maybe we can work on something where we can start carrying some Trinity stuff. I remember that.
And I was, man, you gotta, if you go back to that far, when I moved into this building, I barely had 2 dimes to rub together. I mean, I leveraged myself to the fullest. It was fucking sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing in a brand like Trinity that the margins weren't really that great. Like, you get better margins with many other
margins
motors
are terrible for sure.
Yeah, but that's what everyone wants, right? So, but like the margins weren't all that great, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I can only bring in 1 or 2 or a few, and that's not good. Like, I'm trying to promote a website, I'm trying to sell to my racers, I'm trying to whatever.
Sure.
But it was a brand that I knew of because I raced back in the excuse me, back in the 90s and a little bit in the 80s, but definitely in the 90s. And it was just a cool brand. Like, okay, like we have a pro shop, we have a race shop. I'm going to bring in one of the pro brands, I'm going to bring that in. But it was because of how all that went down when you first came up with Alan White and yourself and whoever else was with you at the time.
Aaron Sykes. Yeah. Aaron Sykes literally pretty much grabbed me and forced me to come here. Not because I didn't want to, but like one thing that like was something that always mind boggled me was it was so hard for me to convince Ernie that trackside presence mattered.
Yeah. And to me, that's more, I mean, honestly, I might never have sold Trinity if it wasn't for that.
And I apologize for anyone that said like, I don't know what Horizon's big picture is, and I'm jumping off topic, but I'm going to nationals and I'm going to be there to support the team because you can buy the company, but you can't buy the team. And I'm not saying that from an arrogant standpoint. I'm saying that, look at Friday. I mean, Patrick Rossiter called me and he was almost in tears. And everybody that knows Patrick knows that, first of all, he's probably the best freaking corner marshal out there.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. And he's very passionate like I am. Mm-hmm. But even Patrick, when I tried recruiting Patrick to come to Trinity, like he's a good friend of Drake. He didn't want to come, and I kind of respected that. I stepped away and Patrick's been Trinity since. And I don't even remember what happened to get Patrick, but Patrick's got a huge passion for me. And I appreciate Patrick for that. And I'm not saying that he's the only one, but he's the one that stuck out because he's always that, like, if I need some inspirational, like, hey man, you got this kind of deal, Patrick was always that. He was my hype guy, Yeah. And we're not even like, it's not that we are not close, but we don't talk all the time. There's sometimes we talk only at the events. Yeah. He's got my phone number, I got his phone number, and we interact, but there's no regular scheduled, like, how often do we talk? There might be a month where we go no days and talk, and there might be a month where we talk like 10 times in a day, 10 times that month, But Patrick stepped up and was basically like my hype guy, like in the moment, because when the one thing that the lawyers did, and like I said, and I'm not a lawyer, was they have no problem telling me how to do my job, but they don't know what my job is.
Right.
And that was the thing that was so hard for me, was that I didn't want to do the company any disjustice. I wanted to the day I left that company, I wanted to be 110% all the time. And if I did that and something was offered my way, then I did my job. And if it wasn't, then shame on them.
Well, that's still the point that I just don't understand.
I don't either.
It's the very question I keep asking, and I'm trying to, and maybe there's just no answer, but I do not understand why the one person that's still running that company that knows every in and out of it right now wasn't offered a job or wasn't, included in the buyout. Like, I am still in shock about that more than I am about it being bought by Horizon.
Yeah.
And it's not because of our relationship. It's because it didn't make a lot of sense. Even if you were to stay on for, like, if they said, look, we're going to keep you on for at least a year, mm-hmm. but a year is about, where, like, we can guarantee you a year, but, we need to know how the company, and that gives you the opportunity to say, no, I'd rather do my own thing, or I don't want to do it for less than like a 5-year contract or something. Like, they gave you nothing. I mean, did they walk in and then you leave like an office space with a box with your shit in it from your desk, or like, what was it like? I mean, was it fucking cutthroat?
I mean, excuse it, but I felt like a criminal. They treated me like a criminal. That's the way I felt. Like, and I know that if they hear this, they're going to think exact opposite. But the lawyers were buddy when they needed all the documents. And that day that the day that it kind of went away, like, I'm not going to lie, there was days where I woke up and I just didn't have a purpose in life. I felt like I had no direction because I had already kind of heard rumbles. Like I said, when it came to getting to put opinions in, I was not the vice president. But then when it came to, I kind of got in trouble for talking about a little bit of the information that I got, I was an executive. So it was kind of like they kind of like, they picked and choose when they had my position there. And, and like I said, I mean, it's hard.
Only when it was good for them.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I mean, and Ernie's lawyers are always going to be in the best interest for that. I mean, that's why they're his lawyers. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that were scared of his lawyers. And let me tell you, they're scary. I mean, they're good. I mean, they took me to the bank. That's the way I look at it. I mean, 10 years or almost 10 years of my life, 9.5 solid. And I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but I busted my ass 24/7. And it wasn't even like it was hard to do that. It was so fun to do that.
Right.
Because, it took a lot to get credit from Ernie. And it was one of those things, you didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let my family down. I didn't want to let the racers down. So I was a little dejected because after there were some rumors that I heard, that Horizon was acquiring it and they weren't taking any of the staff. I'm like, oh, great. Okay, so if they buy this, we're replaceable, which everyone's replaceable. But they're right then and there. My future was done at Trinity.
Well, how long ago was that?
Weeks, not too long. And
so it closed last Friday.
Last Thursday was my last day.
But that's when like the deal closed, or
I don't even know if the deal still technically hasn't closed. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I mean, so basically, I was in the lawyer's ear, chirping, and you talk to the family, and they're just like, talk to the lawyers. There was very, very, very. There was no there was no personal touch. It was talk to the lawyers. It's like, okay, well, I'm telling you, I'm here for you if you ever need me. They never capitalized on that, but I told them I was here for them anytime. And we shared tears from time to time, because one of our racers actually made a banner and sent it to me. I had a bunch of racers sign it, and I hung it in my office, and that was my motivation every day, was to do that man right. I'm not sure if there's life after death, but if there is, I don't want Ernie Pavetti looking down on me thinking that I'm doing him wrong, because one day I'll see him and he's going to fucking grill me. He's going to give it to me, even if I did him right, he's going to grill me. I mean, we want 1, 2, 3 at Nationals. I'm sure because we didn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, he's going to bust my chops, right. And I say that and that's a joke, sure. But, one thing that nobody can question is the passion. I'm very passionate. I gave it my all. And if that wasn't enough, then I'm not worthy to be at Trinity, you know? But the writing was on the wall. They kind of said something to me and I did confide in Dakota, and I didn't tell Dakota not to say anything. I just wanted to know if this did go down, how is the team going to be taken care of? So I just reached out to Dakota and was like, hey, look, you may know this, you may not. I don't know. But there has been a little bit of a rumor that Horizon may be acquired by Trinity. And Dakota actually seemed a little shocked too, And I said, hey, look, I'm not here to be a gossiper or this or that. For one, I always told you I would keep you in the loop of everything. And by damned if I'm going to let one of the last things I do at Trinity be take all those years of working with Dakota and not keep my word. Sorry. Like when the lawyer said something, I was like, look, I'm sorry. I'm not apologizing. So it was like in that moment, because they reached out to me, and maybe Dakota said something to someone at Horizon and they said something to the lawyer and the lawyer said something to me. And I'm like, look, I'm not apologizing. Like I wasn't out gossiping, it's not my information to share. But what was my thing was the team is my family. Like, I don't want them to be slighted anyway. Like right now, I get messaged every day. Hey, I got orders. I got this. I got that. And unfortunately, I feel so damn helpless because I want to help them, but I can't. I have no answers for them.
People like Dakota, though, they have livelihood at stake when it comes to this type of situation.
Absolutely.
So, like, he's gonna be worried or want to know what's going on because there's a paycheck at the end of the day, and you know, everybody depends on their paychecks. You know, and if you're getting paid X amount of dollars and then all of a sudden some of that's gone, you know, you have to fill that gap.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to them. I mean, that's why I'm still kind of like in awe. I'm in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, like, Horizon's been so sneaky. This whole motor, the Moto, the Pro Moto MX bike, 3 years they've been working on that bike.
6. And you know, something funny was, for somebody that I get accused of gossiping, I was FaceTiming with Frank Root a couple years ago. Like, I needed to ask him a question because I was running the TLR product, and Frank's always been a huge help. I mean, Frank is an amazing guy. You know, we recently kind of got into it because of the whole thing. Like, I was kind of bitter, but I'm not bitter towards Horizon. I'm just bitter in general. You know, there's not anyone I'm bitter with, just the equation, the situation, you know. And, you know, I kind of tripped off at Frank, and Frank's like, that's why I don't really want to talk about this. He was professional about it, you know. But I reached out to Frank a couple years ago and FaceTime, and you know how sometimes you get FaceTime, and I was like, dude, look at that dirt bike. He's like, oh shit. Like, you can't say nothing. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
My mouth went sealed because it's not my business to share.
Right.
You know, but when you have a driver on the line like Dakota, that it's part of his livelihood. You know, he's got a family. You know, Chloe is an amazing individual that deserves the best. And Dakota, by God, will give that girl anything she wants. I mean, he is such an amazing person that, like, I don't even consider him a driver. He's family, man.
Yeah, he's
you
good.
know, I mean,
They're good people.
That's why when you and him got hooked up, I was so damn happy because I knew he's in good hands, you know, and I've always had that where I didn't have full control. I spoke my mind, and Ernie sometimes would give in and sometimes he wouldn't, you know, but there was a lot of lessons he taught me, and Dakota was just that guy that I told him, I said, look, dude, I will never turn my back on you. I won't. I'm not going to, because I need to prove to you that I'm worthy and that you mean more to me than just a win and a loss.
Right.
Because Dakota's still a young guy. I mean, he's not old at all. I mean, you know, he's like 15 years younger than I am, you know, and I don't consider myself old. I don't consider you old. I mean, I'm 42. You're right there, right?
Yep.
So, you know, and I mean, I say 15 years. I don't really know. I don't remember exactly how old Dakota is, but I know he's in his early 20s.
That some bitch is in his mid-20s, dude.
Yeah.
He's definitely way younger than us.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it shows. I mean, fuck, his reaction is just like, Jesus, Deweese, dude, you know, like, and that was something that, like, not off topic, like all these guys, oh, dude, I know why you run TLR. You get Dakota setups. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys.
I'll give you the same setup.
I asked Dakota advice. I asked Dakota for help, but I've never, ever, ever asked Dakota for a setup because I don't have an inch of his talent.
No.
I mean, and even in my best days, we're still nowhere near. I mean, the gum on the bottom of his shoe is more talented than me.
Yeah.
You know, but that's
I
fine.
agree. You suck a lot, so yeah.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? And I'm fine with that because you know what? I was a part of a fucking amazing team.
Yeah, you are.
So to suck, you know, but hey, you know what? My painter's the bomb. I mean, look at.
Let's not talk about that.
You know, but
let's not talk about that.
But no,
that
in all
collusion that you guys created over the
dude,
years. That's fucking collusion.
You know, I can honestly tell you right now, and I think Friday spoke for it. I never asked any of our team drivers to pick my bodies. I actually never even picked my own body. I always picked Justin Doyle.
Who would do that?
I'm not gonna lie. The last year when you always accused me of like adding this up. I'm like, I'm voting for
It
my
was
fucking body.
collusion, dude. There's no way that your same body could win multiple years. It was deflating to the system. It was like
It was deflating to
Biden,
you.
No, it was like Biden winning. It was the exact same situation. You fucked the fucking polls up. Now I have to think of a new way of doing it this year. I'm gonna think of a new way.
I'm not even submitting this year.
I don't care. I've got to do something to rid of collusion. Fucking
Just don't let the team vote, because I mean, I'll tell you right now, I mean, you know, that was one thing that I did say, and I got accused of. The lawyer said, so I heard that you said you're gonna take the team. I didn't say nothing. What I did say was, if you look at like the Joe Pillars and the Brent, the Thelkes and stuff, the brand that they represent are quality brands. Not saying anything at all, but I've seen Joe leave from brand to brand to brand, and drivers just flock, you know. And there's a personal relationship that's established, and it's not that the brand that they're personally representing in that moment is not, you know, is replaceable. It's just that if you know that you're taken care of, and you know that your guys got your back, they're gonna have your back. And that's where I wanted Dakota to know that, dude, no matter what, I'm gonna keep you in the loop. If I feel that something is not in your favor, it's not that I'm against Trinity, not one bit. It's that sometimes I think that, like, you know, I think if there's only one thing I could say about Ernie Privetti, that might be in my personal view, I know everyone got their opinion out there, is the best way to stay successful is, you know, you can put your head in the clouds, but keep your feet on the ground, man. You know, and remember where you came from. Like, I remember as being a customer of a nobody, you know, and that's why when these guys say I'm a nobody, I hate that, because we breathe the same damn air, dude. I'm an RC team manager. It's not like I'm a brain surgeon.
right.
You know, I mean, is it a fun job? Yeah. But is it a job that you can't, that it takes certain people? I think it does take certain people. You gotta have a personal love for it, right? I mean, that's what makes you good at what you do. And I think that's what makes me good at it, because I don't have, like, if you listen to Jason Rona talk, like, he is so damn smart, and he's so methodical, and he's so experienced. I think that's the best word, experienced. But the respect I have for Jason is through the roof. But I'm nothing like Jason. I don't want to be Jason. And what Jason does works for Jason. But what works for me works for me. And the personal relationships are what I feel are what keep it going, you know. And that's what I'm taking from this whole thing. No, I'm not gonna hold on to the negativity of anything, because maybe I was promised this, or I thought I was promised this. Maybe it's a misunderstanding, whatever. But, you know, I did feel slighted. I definitely felt slighted, and I felt very disrespected when I left.
Yeah.
There was no personal connection. I mean, AJ Marasco, he left. I had to go back and grab some of my personal belongings, because I was working from home that day. We had the air conditioner in our shop took a crap that week, so I was actually having to let the staff leave early, because in Florida right now it's so damn hot that, you know, I was asking, hey, come in a little early, you know, but we were having to leave a little bit early because it was 91 degrees inside the building. So the landlord that we have, I mean, you want to talk about personal relationships. He called me today on my way up here and was just checking on me, you know, making sure I'm good, you know, this and that, and told me he supported me and this and that. And like, that meant the world to me, because he's, you know, I say just the landlord. He's not just the landlord. He is an amazing individual that I grew to be very fond of. And the fact that he stepped up to the plate and just reached out to me just to see, hey, how you doing, this, that, you know, if you need anything, let me know. And when I told him, you know, hey, look, you know, like, after the writing was on the wall, I mean, because he was trying to actually think of ways that the family could make more money, but include me in the sale. And when he told me that, I'm like, look, you know, you can't force anybody to do anything. And who knows, maybe this was something that was, I mean, predicated off of Ernie before he passed away. You know, Ernie liked to have control of everything. So I could definitely see that, but the way it was all done, I just don't believe it. And I'm not saying that the family's lying, because I don't want to establish an image that I don't believe them, because that's not the truth. It's just, from what I knew, it just doesn't seem right. This whole deal, just this whole thing was just such a big question mark, and it still is.
But do you think Ernie is proverbially rolling over in his grave right now, or do you think like he's like, fuck yeah, we fucking did it, like we got bought by the biggest company in RC?
I personally think Ernie's turning in his grave, and I don't want to go into any detail of some conversations that we've had because I don't want to discredit Horizon, and I don't want to tarnish Ernie. It could have been the competitive side of him. You know, this company's bigger than he is. I don't know. The only thing that would make sense from Ernie wanting Horizon to take it is that it is never going to go away unless Horizon makes it go away. You know, but they're too busy trying to sponsor NASCAR cars and things like, I don't know. I'm sponsored by Horizon. Maybe not after this. I don't know. And I don't really care, you know, because for me, repping a brand is about the passion. Like, you know, like being proud to put the shirt on. Like, that's why, like, Ernie got pissed at guys about the shirts and stuff like that. I mean, dude, I was still wearing Trinity shirts. You know, my family's like, let's throw these things in the trash, you know? And I've had guys reach out to me like, hey, dude, we're ripping the banners off the track. We're going to burn them. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Right. I mean, you can't erase history. I mean,
no.
In your mind, Trinity was good to you. Like, Trinity, you're part of Trinity.
Yeah. Like, I don't, just because I'm not with Trinity anymore, it's not to my doing. If I could, I'd still be there.
Sure.
You know, but one thing I learned from Ernie was always have a secondary plan. So, like, all these guys, like, when Friday launched this and that, I had a buddy reach out to me. He's like, dude, launch the brand. I'm like, it's not even ready. Like, because it was one of those things that was kind of like Trinity or Exalt. I hate to say it, my heart was with Trinity. But when all the BS with the lawyers, the family, one day I woke up and it was just all gone. Like, my passion for keeping that brand there was just gone because they finally gave up on me and the staff. Like, if you're going to allow a company to come in and say, hey, look, we're going to buy this, but the staff's not taken, dude, the lawyers are probably pissed because they shouldn't be pissed at me. They should be pissed at themselves that they told me. That's the problem. They need to look in the mirror and know they fucked up. And that's a little rated R right there. You know, I mean, that's pretty graphic, but I'm pissed at the lawyers. I think the lawyers suck.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they could, it takes a special person to work in this industry. It takes a special person to be a lawyer. You got to be heartless.
Yeah. There's no fucking,
you know, and I apologize to anybody out there if you're a lawyer.
I don't.
But
you're a lawyer,
you got to be fucking heartless.
If you're a lawyer, unless you do it out of the goodness of your heart to save people that need help, you're probably at some point you were probably a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the funny thing is throughout the whole thing, the lawyer it was almost like they kind of kept playing two sides. Like, you talk to the family, hey, talk to the lawyers. Then the lawyers say, oh, the family's taking care of you, Kevin. You've been with them for this long, this and that. And
it's just lip service. It's just telling you that so you keep calm, like everything's good, right?
Well, I mean, and I would not do that company. Even if they did me wrong, I wouldn't do them wrong.
They don't know that. So in their mind, I mean, if you play devil's advocate, they think we got to keep him at bay, make him think he's good because we don't need him going whiskey throttle on us and fucking going crazy. And but in the same token, if that guy can go home and know that he shit on somebody and fucking go home to his family if he has one and act like nothing's wrong, more power to him, dude.
Oh, he's got a family.
If you don't have a conscience that's going to tell you like you know the right thing to do right here in this situation, that's on you.
Yeah,
that's not. You can't call that your job. You can't.
That's probably my only aggression I have towards that, and it's not even necessary towards Trinity because, like I said, but it's just the way that it was handled. Constantly promised something was going to give to me, and then after 9.5 years of really, I mean, everybody's going to have their opinion, and you're entitled to it. If someone walked up to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, I disagree with what you said last night," that's fine.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome to, and I apologize that you don't agree with me, but you may not know the ins and the outs. But one thing is for true: I was promised a lot, and Ernie took care of me. He did. But there were a lot of times when he promised he was going to take care of me and he never did either. And, and I don't want people to view the man like that because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, there's no hard feelings, or if there is, I'm working past it. because I don't want hard feelings towards Horizon or anybody. Because like I said, I don't blame Horizon, but I think Horizon needs to understand too that you can't just you can't monopolize the industry. Like people are gonna. I mean, look at all the comments. I mean, what kind of company? You already know you already know a lot of bad things about you when you can't even put the comment box on your post.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen. You know it's going to be negativity up negativity. For me, as a person, I would hate to see negativity. So I'm trying to do business where I please everybody, but I'm still successful.
Right.
They just want to make money, and that's fine. I mean, dude, look at that dirt bike. They go from dropping probably one of the most epic things to being shit on 24/7, and I didn't want to see that.
No,
and I didn't want to see all the drivers dump. I can tell you, I didn't ask one driver to leave, nor would I ever. But they took it upon themselves to do all that, and still to this day, I'm going to be at these races to support these guys, just simply from the fact that.
Keep talking.
Just simply from the fact that you can take the brand from me, but you can't take the loyalty. And just like the team's loyal to me, I'm loyal to them. Mm-hmm. And it's basically I owe them. I owe them a lot because the last year they have been the most. I mean, I get on the team page every day. Like I'm on that thing all the time, and the way that the team helped each other, like dude, like it was like pick them up, put them down. Like they were, it was awesome to see. Like the team ran itself.
No, I that's to me that was probably the most surprising and amazing thing of the whole situation. To be honest with you, I didn't see that coming. And like I said before, the loyalty and the support for you was overwhelming. I think that's what broke the internet.
Yeah, I got a lot of messages. I mean, I had over 200 messages and like 185 Facebook messages. And it was just like, you know how it is. You answer a message, I'd get from like 200 down to like 190. And then I'd hit on that like that 189 message. And then it'd be like 195 because fucking 6 people replied.
Yeah.
And I spent probably the first 2 or 3 days after this was all said and done, just answering messages because I didn't want people to think that I was ignoring them.
Right.
But at the same time, like a lot of people just want information just to share it, you know? And in that moment for me, it wasn't about knocking a brand or this or that. It was, I needed to find what I was going to do in my life because it just got uprooted.
Yeah.
And, and then to have somebody like AJ Marasco, who is like a brother to me. I mean, he's ran for Trinity for 10 years or 9 years. As long as I've been at Trinity, he's been a driver. And to see his passion, I mean, there was years where people would say to me, and you touched on this earlier, oh, you favor AJ. You favor AJ. I don't favor AJ. I favor effort.
Yeah, and he puts in the effort.
And AJ puts the effort in. Like if he came back to off-road, he wouldn't get the #1 stuff because he's putting his effort towards drag racing.
Right.
So if you have Brendan Schimmel and AJ Marasco going to an off-road race, Brendan
Schimmel all day right now.
All day. But if AJ and Schimmel go to a drag race, I'm putting the best shit in AJ's car.
Right.
Because my job is to do whatever the best is to promote the brand to win.
Yeah. But AJ does put in that work.
Oh, like, dude.
That kid, for the longest time, the reason why he was so good at Masters in the stock game, because he had it figured out. And it caught up to him. He's kind of stepped away, wasn't running as much, got into drag racing even more so. But you can't deny the passion of the Trinity team. I just, a lot of people, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but a lot of people think Horizon's the one that's doing dirty. And in my mind, okay, now this is not
it's business.
I'm going to preface this for anyone watching, any lawyer that might find this or whatever, and this has nothing to do with Kevin or anything. But in my mind, Trinity done you wrong. And I'll tell you why. And it's I'm a loyal person like you. I want, if tomorrow my company was just miraculously bought for some ungodly number of people, the people that have been with me and that I've talked about buying Lambos and stuff with my homies, like they're going to get it, right? Like I'm not going to walk all over. If I'm dead, I better have that shit in my will or a shame on me because I'm a man of my word.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you were promised anything. I'm not saying anything of the above. However, people that have been with me since day one or since like I needed the help to get to the point where I'm at right now, they deserve a piece of something.
Sure.
whether it's to keep their job, whether it's to have a nice severance or to have a piece of the sale of the company or something. The last 10 years, at least, definitely the last 3 to 5 years, you were Trinity. Everyone knew Ernie owned Trinity. Like I said to you, I've never spoke to him. I've never met him.
Mm-hmm.
I've met you. I know you. I dealt with you. I raced with you. I went to races you were at. You came to my races. You were Trinity in everyone's eyes. Everyone knew Ernie because he built it. Like he was the face. But he was Ernie wouldn't. I don't believe unless Trinity found someone almost identical to you that at that point, like a Pillars, like a BT. There's a handful of good team managers. I don't see Trinity where it's at today. And I think you got shit on. And that's why the people out there that commented and did everything, that's why. Because you were the person that's provided the support. You were the person that listened to them. You were the person that was there motorizing, tweaking, giving free shit to them when their stuff breaks. Like, you were that guy. Not a child of Privetti, not Dieter, not anyone in the office. It was Kevin Abbott. If one person should have gotten anything out of that company, whether it's kept a job, severance, a piece of the sale, something, it should have been Kevin Abbott. Not everybody's going to do like what I would do. I'm going to take care of my guys if that ever were to happen. Business is business. Horizon's a huge fucking company.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The biggest hobby company in the world, a very, very powerful company in the United States with a lot of buying power, a huge committee, like lots of money. They did what any fucking boardroom would do. They just axed everybody. They came in there, and I feel like
I just hope it doesn't bite the industry in the ass one day, and they get choose. Man, one thing I think it is sometimes, dude, you got to be yanked down and realize that, you got to remember where you came from, and there's been times where honestly, I mean, I'm gonna throw a name out there, J.R. Mitch, dude. J.R. ran for Trinity when I first started, and he had to put me in my place. And J.R., a little bit of history of JR is like, if you burn your bridge with JR, you kind of burn your bridge. And I had guys come up to me after JR and I had our little spat, and they're like, how did you and JR kind of mend this? And, he's still one of my best friends to today, and he's 100% in my corner. I mean, like, he came back to Trinity, just because, like, it was kind of like he actually cared about Ernie. Like, he cared about the company. He cared about me. So it was a fitting thing for him to end his career with Trinity, right? But like, and that's what I wanted. But like, soon as this went down, he's just like, dude, I'm done. Yeah. And I can tell you without even asking him, that hurt him because he was such a brand loyal guy. But he put me in my place several times, and he made me a better person. He made me a better team manager. He made me realize that just because you're team manager doesn't mean you're always right.
Right.
And whether I thought I was right and he thought he was right, at the end of the day, he made me realize that, like, there's always room for growth.
Right.
And, I don't want to shortchange any of the amazing talent that's raced for Trinity or worked for Trinity. I mean, like I said, towards the end, I started feeling like the outcast. Like, I just didn't feel like I was getting the support. Certain people were really hard to get a hold of and whatnot. And I mean, I even texted Jim the other day and was just like, "Hey man, the race is was in Chicago. Like, did you go?" Crickets. So I don't know if he's mad at me or whatnot, but like, I'm done worrying about everybody's opinion because, one thing I learned from Ernie was that you gotta take it by the balls. And excuse my language there, but like, soon as the lawyers kind of showed their hand, I woke up one day and it was just like, dude, you couldn't have paid. Like, if throughout the years of the struggles and the regular just success, I mean, to work for Trinity, it's a lot of pressure. I'm not knocking other brands by any means, but Trinity set the bar to be like, there's brands out there that don't even like Ernie, but they emulate Ernie because they respected what he did.
Yeah.
And I respected Ernie, and, I value the conversations that we had. I mean, every day, 4 days a week, we'd have an hour lunch where we would just sit and talk. I'd go get lunch for us. We'd come back, we'd sit at the round table. And, you know, I mean, a kind of a funny story, like off topic, but like one of the funniest things that I ever remember Ernie was, like I said, our landlord was freaking awesome. Ernie had this charisma about him that he could bring the best out of people around him. And I don't even know how in the hell he did it. Like, I wish he did. Like, I mean, there's times throughout the last year that I was like, you know what did Ernie do to me that I can't do to the staff around me? Like, you know, AJ's a good employee and he works his ass off and he cares more than anything. You know, but outside of that, like, it was just like, how did he do this? Right. And I just didn't have that. And that was a struggle for me because I felt like I was failing. But at the same time, I don't think the company allowed me to put the right perspective. You know, basically, Ernie's caretaker was thrown into Trinity. So I had somebody there, and the poor girl, she got my attitude every damn day. And she probably thought I hated her. But realistically, I don't know her from Adam to Eve. So I don't know her, you know. So it was nothing personal. It was just that I was given a job, and my job is to make Trinity successful. And if you're not going to give me the tools to do that, it's going to wear on you. And, you know, I was kind of handcuffed. I was shackled. And it just got overwhelming where one day I finally woke up. And like I said, if I could have paid years ago for this pressure or this passion to just dissipate or disappear, I would have done it because the pressure was just, I mean, my wife should have divorced me 100 times by now, but she fights and she sticks right by me. I mean, she's at home right now working on stuff. And, you know, like, you can't buy that kind of loyalty.
Yeah.
And, you know, Ernie had that loyalty in me. And I just felt like he could have done me a little bit better. Like, you know, I'm not trying to be, like I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. And, you know, for those that, you know, for those behind the scenes that know that, you know, the ins and the outs, maybe they think I'm wrong. And that's fine. But they also don't know that, you know, when I go home, I'm working with the vendors. I'm working with
nobody understands that,
dude, literally, my phone is 24/7.
Nobody in this industry, unless you work in it, understands what we do on the time we're not behind the phone or the computer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like you said, 20-hour days. Like, there's a lot of those every week for us. And it's just, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
But you got to keep that passion. But people are still going to be mad at Horizon for this, not knowing that, like, business is business, and we have got to stop pointing the finger at just one company. This is not, people have to understand, they bought it for a reason.
Sure.
We don't know what that reason is.
I mean, the only thing I will say is that they said something about carrying on his legacy. I don't think they give two shits about that.
Probably not.
No disrespect. It's just, that's just to make face.
If you're a bean counter, if you're a black and white guy, if all you're doing is pencil pushing, you don't care about Ernie's legacy.
Well, I mean, and you know, there's a lot of people that didn't care about Ernie. You had to really know Ernie. And I can say that there's a couple individuals inside of Horizon. They know who they are. I've spoke with them that I truly believe would be the perfect fit to possibly help with the Trinity legacy. I mean, I'll say one of them, Nick Mulatto. Dude, Nick Mulatto is, him and I kind of got into it because he put something out there like, you know, spoke, I wouldn't say out of turn. Everyone's got their opinion out there. And I've been on the other side of that where I wasn't privileged to know the knowledge or the information, but I had a comment. I had an opinion. And it may not have been the right opinion, but Nick said something, and you know what? I ripped Nick. And you know, Nick came back to me and said, dude, honestly, buddy, I'm sorry. Like, he was so respectful about it because, like, he was under the impression, like, that maybe I was offered a position. And I just, you know, abandoned the position. No, dude, like, after 9.5 years, I got a phone call. Hey, can you come meet me at the office? Because I was working at home because, like I said, the AC at the shop wasn't working. So I was working at home from my trailer, and well, my home's not a trailer, but I was working from my RC trailer.
Right.
I turned it into my office.
Oh, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. You know, well, I got a buddy of mine. He calls his house a double wide.
Yeah.
And it's a mansion. You know, he's an honor guy, but he's always like, "You want to come stay at my double wide?" I'm like, you know, but yeah, I mean, I was, you know, so he's like, "Can you come down there?" And when I got down there, I saw the locks being changed. I was like, "Oh shit."
Right.
It's done.
Damn.
And I instantly didn't even think about myself. I was thinking about the 3 people in the office. And like I said, I really only have a personal relationship with one of them, which was AJ. And, you know, I will always be indebted to AJ because he got to see firsthand the way I was treated. And, man, I apologize, AJ, but he kind of teared up. He was like, you know, like he left. And I had to go back to get the rest of my belongings that I needed to bring back to the shop because they said, hey, can you come for a meeting? So when I got there, like, hey, you got your laptop? I'm like, no. They're like, well, why not? I'm like, because I was coming here for a meeting. I wasn't coming here to work. I'm working from home. It's freaking 90 degrees inside this damn building. You know, and the landlord, like I said, he's an amazing dude. So he brought in air conditioners. He did whatever he needed to do to make it comfortable. But I was like, hey, guys, just keep it on that side. I can work remote. You know, I can log into the computers and I can do this and that, you know. And I felt that I was a person that, you know, if there's one thing that I proved to everybody, like, even if I'm not at home or even if I'm not in the office, I'm working. Like, I enjoy working. It's a passion of mine.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be a loser. I want to set an example for my kids, and I want my wife to be proud of me. You know, I want my family to be proud of me, you know? So, yeah, it was hard. I mean, it really was. I mean, still to this day, I mean, it kind of chokes me up still, you know, but what can you do? You know, there's nothing you can really do, you know.
You're passionate, bro. When you're passionate, it shows.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I definitely was a little, like I said, I expected a little bit better, you know, especially when I was repeatedly told, you know, and that doesn't fall on Ernie one bit. I'm not going to post that on Ernie one bit. I'm going to post that on everybody else after the passing of Ernie. And I apologize if they don't have anything to do about it. But you know what? There's been several times where people thought I owned Trinity. It's perception.
Yeah.
Like I told their family, I say, you know what? Perception's a bitch. And people are going to blame you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your fault or not.
Well, the beneficiaries of the buyout, it will not affect. Not one bit.
No.
The big thing is where is Horizon going to go with this? And how is it going to affect them, right? Like you just said. So maybe it could have been done differently. And honestly, in my opinion, the one thing, if they would have done one thing, it would have been to keep you on for a limited amount of time at the minimal.
I knew that wasn't going to happen because when I applied for the TLR position, one of the questions was, would I be willing to relocate? And my wife, she doesn't ask for anything. Like I could give her $100, go get groceries, or you know, I'm sorry, I give her $100, go buy yourself something. She comes back with groceries. Like she is the most selfless person I've ever met. And so like we live in her grandmother's house. Like it's her, I wouldn't say her dream home, but it's home for her.
Yeah.
And for somebody that doesn't ask for anything, like you want to, as a provider, you want to give them everything. So like it was never an option. You know, and maybe today with after COVID and everything, you know, the remote part could been worked through, but like there were so many people that channeled through me that when I heard it was Horizon, I was like, well, yeah, they're not going to channel through me. First of all, you know, I mean, and I knew it was Horizon because I don't ever get on LinkedIn, and I got on LinkedIn because I'm OCD. Those red bubbles on the iPhone just fucking drive me nuts. And so I just wanted to get on there just to clear them out. And I saw that the CEO of Horizon viewed my profile. And I'm like, that's not good. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So like I kind of knew who it was before it was kind of, you know, pervy to me, I guess, you know, told to me. But it just kind of sucked, you know. Like I just didn't really want that, you know. And it's nothing against Horizon. I got a lot of respect for them, and they're you know, an amazing company. I got a lot of friends that work inside there, and I've got a lot of enemies, I'm sure, that probably work inside there. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to make enemies. I'm here to make people smile. People enjoy their hobby, if that's what you want to call it. Their time away with their kids, you know, their escape away from reality, this world that we live in, you know. That's all I want to do. And if I'm guilty of that, then yeah, I'm guilty, you know. But I definitely felt a little slighted, you know, but I don't want to take this next chapter in my life and carry that anger with me, because there's a part of me that sometimes wonders if some of these decisions that were made were, the anger from the family, I mean, like, dude, like you lost your dad. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
Like my dad's still around, and the thought of him not being here, it just pains me.
Yeah.
And so like I always treated them with respect in the sense of, like, man, you lost your father. Like I'm complaining about this, but you lost your father. Like, and I would always try to at least sum up the conversation with, hey, look, I'm not trying to play like cock on the walk. I'm not trying to say my problems are bigger than yours, because at the end of the day, you lost your father. But just because he wasn't DNA to me didn't mean that he didn't matter to me either.
Right.
Like the guy taught me so much and gave me so much confidence that, and I mean, there's some things I took from him. Like I said, I mean, I've had this alternative motive, if that's what people want to call it. And I'm sure they're going to turn it like, oh, I was, I saw some meme that someone posted that like basically Trinity was being purchased, the drivers were jumping ship, and I'm on like a small boat and I'm flicking everybody off, like as if I abandoned them. No,
right.
I stayed there through the thick and the thin until I was basically harped on for what I took. I mean, I had to show the lawyer my damn email and prove to him it was my personal email before I removed it. And, like Ernie bought me that laptop. Like, I didn't feel that it was necessary, and I just felt pretty, I mean, and I kind of started thinking to myself like, hey, maybe I'm being a little critical and maybe I'm being a little drama queen. But then when I got in the car and like AJ was just so emotional, he's like, dude, I cannot believe that they treated you the way they did after all that you've done. And that kind of started building a little bit of frustration for me.
Yeah.
So it took a couple days, and like I said, I appreciate the outpour. Like, I mean, I probably have never been so appreciative ever. Like, if there's something I'm going to take from this, it's to always support those that support you. And I'm going to walk away, and you know what? Like I said, dude, it could be 5 years down the road. It could be a Trinity driver. I will help you, even though I have no ties to Trinity anymore, because that's just who I am.
Yeah.
I was, when I raced quarter midgets with you, dude, I wouldn't say I was an arrogant prick, but there was a lot of things that I learned as a kid, and it really kind of came full circle is this, I mean, there's a reason why I stuck with Tater Sontag. It was, Ernie saw talent. I saw talent. Don't get me wrong, but I also saw a kid that the Tater that we see today is the Tater I've always seen.
Yeah.
And I stuck by him because there were people that stuck by my side when they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And it was something that I wanted to repay back. I wanted to be a positive influence on somebody. And I can be honest and say that there's times where I probably have, I probably need to put the controller up because, man, I just get pissed off on the driver's stand because, there's times where, dude, in Florida, I don't know what it's like in other states, but man, I've had our team drivers just poking at me on the driver's stand. And it is so nerve-wracking on top of not being any good.
I'm pretty sure I've told you this story before. I'm about to tell you a story.
What's that?
So I came down to Super Cup at Space Coast. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even Beachline yet. And it was dirt, sealed fucking shit.
Yeah, glue on dirt.
Yeah, it was bad. And I come down there, I bring my wife, we go camping down there, and I went down there with like James Van Hook and a host of other people from up here. We all went down and pitted together with the BK guys. I was really big in the BK stuff at the time. And so one of the first times I'm on the track, we've not met yet. And I'm on the driver's stand, and I'm looking down, and I'm driving a two-wheel buggy or something, and you start cussing like a fucking sailor at somebody.
I do have a problem with that.
And I mean, it's a marshal probably, or a driver that you probably thought you hacked you, but you hacked them, something like that, right? And I look over and I just kind of like catch the glimpse of your face. And, I think I've told you this, but if you hate me forever, it's okay. And it's not like it's a bad thing. But I look over and I'm like, God damn, dude, that dude that owns Dialed Hobbies is a dick. I thought you were Gene Hickerson, man. I swear, you guys looked enough alike where I totally thought Gene was down there cussing at everybody.
Well,
I'm like, God, everybody check this guy out.
And,
you know?
and Gene can be a liked and disliked guy. So, I mean.
I like Gene. This isn't like a downer on him either.
No.
It was
I like
just,
Gene.
It was just like that's when the first time I ever saw you or heard your voice or anything was that.
Yeah.
And fast forward a couple years when you came up to Palmetto and whatever, and like we hit it off good, but for whatever reason, like that sticks in my mind. The first time I ever saw you, I thought you were Gene Hickerson.
Well, I mean, passion is such a word that like in that podcast, Jason kept using the word passion, and Jason's passionate, but he's in a controlled environment. Like he's really good at controlling himself. Like he's very methodical. Everything he does, like sometimes, unfortunately, I have to. I mean, dude, like we grew up racing quarter midgets. Like you're up on a driver's stand. You're pretty much the spotlight of you and 9 other guys. If it's a 10 scale race, if you're at one of Lycom's races, it's you and like another 15 other guys or 20, who knows, but you're pretty much, you're on a pedestal, you're in the limelight. And dude, like, I mean, when I raced cars, I was screaming my helmet, but no one ever saw that because
one heard saw it, nothing.
But that's because like, I wanted to make my parents proud. I wanted to make my girlfriend that maybe I was dating at the time proud. Like you always want to do people right, And so for me, it was like, I never wanted to suck.
Yeah.
And I'm good at sucking.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good at it, unfortunately. And, the team.
Really good at it.
Yeah. The team.
Honest, like so good at it.
Yeah. Dude, like.
Fuck, you suck. Dude.
Yeah, I know, bro. I mean. It's to the point where, like, I woke up on the driver's stand, I'm already defeated. But that's fine. That's fine, dude. And that's perfectly fine because I'm not there to win. I'm not there to win. I'm there to support the team and to do whatever I can do. And, like last year at the Carpet Champs, I had Tom Postwaite come up to me. He's like, hey, man, like, I guess Dustin Fox, his dad, and I got into it a couple years ago. And I guess I called him an asshole or something. And I don't even know his dad other than the person I met this year, super nice guy. And everything I hear from everybody, he's a super nice guy. So I wanted to confront him and just kind of amend, the image that maybe I'm an asshole. And so I walk up to him and I just, kind of introduce myself and this and that. And, in the end of the conversation, I basically just told him, I said, look, you can look at it 2 different ways, man. It's a glass half empty, glass half full. I said, I don't know you from Adam to Eve. So if I called you an ass or something, 5 minutes later, I probably would have forgot all about it. I don't even know what it was about. I said, but you can look at it like I'm an asshole, or you can look at it like your son, was, in AJ's view, was probably roughing AJ up. Like, I remember this thing was basically like, he just kind of kept hitting AJ in the rear end, and AJ just had enough of it where he started commenting and, and so I told him, I said, look, you can look at it like I was attacking your boy, or you can look at it another way. If your boy was on my team, I'd be doing the same damn thing for him because I don't know your boy from Adam and Eve. I don't know you from Adam and Eve. And after talking with him, amazing family. So anything that I said was just because I was trying to protect my guys.
Yeah.
You came after my guys, and it wasn't like they were gunning for him. It was just they're racing, So it was just it was like a mama bear, kind of like a protective part came out. And so I told him, I said, you can view it as I'm an asshole. You can view it as if your son was on my team, I'd be doing the same damn thing for him.
Yeah.
I would be defending him just like I defended our guys. And I think that resonates through the team. And I think that they see that. I mean, the one thing I don't like, and I don't want any team to ever do this is, and it's the same thing with the Masters of Dirt. Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't Masters. I'm sorry, it was the Carpet Champs this year. Daniel Chavez, man, fucking was on a tear, dude. I mean,
he was so good.
And I don't care what Daniel says. He says he never practices. I've seen it. But that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I don't care. But one thing, like, I got accused of spreading a rumor that Daniel practices after hours. Let me tell you one thing. I'm loyal to Trinity. Well, I'm loyal to the brand that I represent. Let's leave it at that right now, because Trinity's now an enemy to me. Ernie always taught me that if you're not with us, you're against us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not with him anymore.
Yeah.
But over the next couple races, I don't know what Horizon's plan is to offer support. I can tell you right now, there's orders out the yin yang that aren't being processed or anything. I'm getting messages, and unfortunately, I don't know what to tell the racers. I feel bad, I don't want any customer to be blindsided. I've told several customers that if anything like this happens, I'll try to tell you. So I was hoping that there would be a little bit of a leeway, and I get it, business like that. But, I've also seen customers too, hobby shops, that this happens, you drop a new product and you don't kind of just give them a little bit of heads up so they can kind of push out the old. They quit promoting the brand. So I didn't want that to happen with Trinity. I don't want these hobby shops to say, oh, you screwed me, so now I'm not going to promote your stuff or sell your stuff. I don't want that. So I just wanted a little bit of a heads up where I could say, hey, guys, look, it's going to be purchased. It's not a social media frenzy. Don't post this. Keep this, and just make sure that everybody's at ease with what's getting ready to happen. The drivers, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
But the way that it was done, it blindsided me. It blindsided the whole staff. Well, AJ, I mean, like I said, it definitely blindsided AJ and I. The other staff, I didn't really get to take a chance to kind of see, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I can't change anything, but, like I said, I mean, I have nothing against the other competitors out there. Competition is what makes this hobby amazing. But my goal is to kick Trinity's ass 24/7.
Well, you got Trinity and you've got a bunch of other great companies out there that are fast, and you've been going head to head with them for a long time. So I'm gonna go pee and I'm gonna get another beer. But I need my boy Robert.
Yeah.
I need you to create 37 seconds of content with Kevin while I piss.
Oh man. At least Robert, take it easy on me now,
37 seconds.
The go-to always has been you got any sports teams you're into? Are you in a
I've grown up racing cars, so I'm a big NASCAR guy. I mean, I don't really like some of the stuff that they're doing in NASCAR, but I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan. The guy's a damn wheel, and I mean, what kind of woman can chug a beer like that, right? I mean, if Kyle keeps winning the way he's winning, she's going to be in AA.
Are you interested in stuff like the F1 racing at all?
The RC industry is really big into that, and I try to get into it, but I'll be honest with you, man, I've just been so busy over the last couple of years that TV has really become a nuisance to me. Like, I don't ever get on TV much anymore unless it's to kind of wind down the end of the day, and at that it's just a TV show, maybe something that my wife's watching, or that my a lot of times when I sit down, my wife's always just like, here's the controller, and I'm like, no, like I'm sitting down for a couple minutes and then I'm going to bed, or I'm gonna go out to the trailer and do some work. So unfortunately, that's where a lot of the passion comes in. I think I've pretty much alienated a lot of my friends, and I've got the best support group. I mean, I've got friends that like I said, I'm 42 years old, and I've got friends that I'm friends with for 38, 39 years, and I mean, whether I love them or not, they're my friends. I mean, my buddy AJ Zale, got to meet one of them today. We were coming up here early this morning, and got up at 4:00 this morning to head up here, and got about 45 minutes from the house and got a flat tire on my truck.
Oh, jeez.
And the humidity at 4:00 in the morning in Florida was ridiculous. It was like 89 degrees, like feeling. It was just.
Hey, speaking of AJ Zale, he left a big turd in the toilet back in the back.
I mean, he is a big turd. Hey, but throw a little light on this. I mean, we want to throw AJ Zales a shout out to his boyfriends, Grant Riles and Todd Allen.
Yeah.
And for all the people that love,
Hey.
I mean, he is a two-time back-to-back Florida Carpet Champs Indy Stock Champion.
What?
Yeah.
How did they even let him run it the second time?
I mean, I guess I should say Trinity gave me something. I got to keep the banner that I paid for.
Hey, Todd Allen's one sexy motherfucker. You tell that man I love him. All right, and Grant Riles, I love that boy too.
I tell you,
he's not as sexy as Todd though.
And seeing that, and and I poke at these guys for this, but I mean, realistically, like, last year at Chili Bowl, we were there, we had a blast. Mm-hmm. The track was definitely, I mean, they lengthened it, so like that Sprinter tire was a motherfucker to try to figure out. Like,
It was tough.
it kept blowing up. And I mean, and it's not knocking the product at all.
Nope.
You know, I don't want anybody to portray this like I'm knocking the J Concepts product.
No,
I mean,
everyone had to run the same tire.
Yeah. But the power we're trying to put down, you just like the stack, like that tire just blew up. Or like it just, I mean, my car personally would just jack sideways. And I'm like, what the shit, you know? But, you know, to have Grant Riles and Max Fleur on the Trinity team, and what I consider for Dirt Oval, the sprint car class and the late model class are two of the prestigious classes. And for those guys to go 1 and 2, we're sitting there afterwards as we're taking the pictures, and man, it was just an awesome picture. It was almost like that picture like Dakota and AJ back in the day when Dakota swept all the mod classes and AJ swept all the stock classes. Like, over those years, we've had some wins, and we've had some very dominating wins. You know, I didn't view dominating the way Ernie did. Ernie would be that guy that, like, you have 10 cars in the field, and you got Andrew Knapp, who is arguably one of the best 12-scale racers to probably touch a controller. And not only that, off-road, I mean, I've seen Andrew do things that, like, just blows my mind. But Andrew TQs and wins, and it could be 9 other motors out there, and Ernie posts, we dominated. Domination to me is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I would much rather finish 2nd through 10th than, well, man, no, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say that. But
I made the mistake of saying that we dominated. What race was Dakota? Silver State. So I didn't get to go to Silver State, and I'm sitting back, and I'm on my phone, and I'm trying to do like team manager duties from Live RC and all that crap. And he dominated everything until it got to the fucking mains. So at Nationals this year, I was really reluctant to post any of his results because, and then look what happened in truck. Like, he dominates everything leading up to it. TQ's boat classes, dominates truck to the point of like only needing 1 more minute of power left. You know, and I just felt like, oh fuck, I'm cursing this dude. I have got to shut the fuck. Just stop talking, stop posting stuff.
Yeah.
Don't be a team manager till after. Like, when it's done, let's post some cool pictures. But yeah, dominating is like, in my opinion, is what Dakota would have done if he would have won truck.
Yeah.
It would have been TQ and won both classes. That's domination.
Yes.
With the car, the tires, the motor, all that, the driver. Like, those, that's what you promote.
yeah.
But yeah, like, I could see, like, if you go 1, 2, 3, if you take the whole podium, that's a domination.
Yeah.
I would rather have 1, 2, 3 than 2nd through 10th.
Yeah, I mean,
All day.
that's where Nationals last year, like, I would have never, you know, imagined it. You know, I appreciate, I mean, the biggest thing I wanted to take from this whole scenario was I just wanted the team to know that I didn't abandon them, and I'm not going to abandon them. I'm here for them, whatever logo's on my shirt and whatever logo's on their shirt, you know, and nobody can take that from me.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thought any differently. I mean, just by the outpour of support for you, the whether they understand or not, their demise and disgust for Trinity or Horizon, like, you know, they were all 100% pro Kevin Abbott. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think people understand your passion. Like,
Yeah.
they've seen it, they support it, they're not leaving you, which basically kind of leads into where, you know, what's next? Like, what is Kevin Abbott doing? Are you staying in the industry? Is Exalt an industry brand?
Yeah, so I mean, so basically, like I said, I mean, one thing that I took from this was soon as I kind of captured that, you know, they're willing to sell the company and not shit on the employees, because I don't want to look at it like that. I don't want to. Like, you know, you can look at any situation, a half glass full, half glass empty, and I want to look at everything in a positive. I want to basically part ways on good terms, right? And I mean, there's obviously some resentment and there's some frustrations, you know, and I'll get through it, man. I'm a big guy, you know, I'm a big boy. I mean, I'll toughen up, you know, and, you know, for the people that might think that I'm being a little, you know, lack of better terms, a pansy about this or whatever, I apologize, you know, but you don't really understand the passion that I had and the love that I have for the brand. I mean, you ever wanted to hate something so bad, but you love it? Like, that's how I feel about Trinity right now. Like, I want to hate him, but I can't.
It's like you just got broke up with like a girlfriend of 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, it's not easy losing a girlfriend after a year if you guys put all you had into it. You know, you've been cheated on in a sense. And like I can just say it again and again. The only thing that surprises me about this whole situation is the fact that the one person that knew what was going on in that company is not still with the company.
Well, you know, and let me show a little bit of respect towards Jim. Jim is a huge part. He's behind the scenes. Jim's not that guy that puts himself in the limelight. And when he's even at the track, he's kind of quiet. But I've got a huge level of respect for Jim Dieter, and I want him to know that if we don't ever talk again, or we do talk again, that I love everything that the guy shared with me. I love everything about him. He's a great individual, you know, and we bumped heads a lot, you know, but that's because he's passionate too. You know, his passion just doesn't boil through his skin like it does for me, you know, and sometimes I wish my passion didn't boil through like it does, because it gets me in trouble where I cussing on the driver's stand or whatnot. And that's not an image that a team manager should be putting out there. So that's where I try to actually started pulling away, because I realized that I couldn't control the way I handled myself, because, you know, you want to, you want to do your drivers good, you know, not only, you know, I mean, Dakota takes time to help you fix your car. You want to do good. You don't want him to think that, like, you know, like all that time that he took away from his car to help you fix yours, like, was for nothing, you know? So, you know, and that's the way I always felt. That's why I don't like asking for a lot of help, because, I mean, I ask AJ a lot because, you know, AJ's not a friend. He's kind of like a son in a sense, you know, like I'm so comfortable around him that, like, it's almost like, hey, you help me, I'll help you. I mean, especially like drag racing. I'm going to call AJ out one time. They did 13.5 before R1 killed it with their illegal 13.5. Sorry, I might blast him on that, but it's the truth. You know,
say what you want. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
And I'm not gonna take that back. You know, it's the truth, and they have to live with that. But you know, I've got a huge level of respect for Tom Rendernick, and I think Steve from R1's got an amazing employee there. But I think Tom's better than that company. You know, personally. But we were running, and AJ and a group of people said, Kevin will never beat me. I kicked AJ's ass that day. Now, if he's right here, he'll tell you, no, he did not. He'll say, oh, you didn't beat me because I beat someone that knocked him out. But what the public doesn't understand is I showed up to that race, and, you know, and the 13.5, you can mess with the motors. You know, I mean, this new 4-pole game with the drag race and stuff, it's pretty much almost set the motors and then play with the ESCs. And I beat AJ. But what they all didn't understand was that, like, ESC wise and everything, AJ's always allowed me to come to the track prepared. So when I do good, they're like, oh my God, Kevin came to the track and did really good. You know, because everyone's like, oh man, you work for Trinity. This should be your forte. Drag
But it was
racing.
because of AJ.
It was because of AJ. I mean, you know, I gave him my car and said, you know, like AJ say, hey, you're going to come to RCDRL this weekend. I think you should come and, you know, get your mind off of things. And I said, well, I got to give you my ESC, you know. He's like, okay, no problem, you know. So for all the guys out there that, like, you know, that's why like that whole Mark Vine thing, it was never like I went to the track after that whole thing and someone's like, oh, you want to beat Mark Vine. I'm like, I don't care to race Mark Vine. Like, if that's what Mark thinks this is about, then he's sadly mistaken.
Right.
He's completely missing the point of my frustrations with him. It's only because, like I said, I think the world of Mark. I honestly do. I think Mark's a great dude. Like, I met Mark years ago with Kinwald was still around, you know, and I got a lot of admiration and a lot of respect for Mark. But, you know, doesn't mean I agree with everything he does, you know.
Well, that goes back to just honoring your side of the deal.
You know, and I think so highly of an individual like that I expect you to do that and carry on, you know. So, but I mean, yeah, I just want to throw a little credit out to AJ that, you know, he does help me a lot, so that when he goes and, you know, does this, like, this is his passion. Like, this is AJ's passion, and you can see it. Like, I always wanted to help AJ win a national title, and every year we got close, but we never capitalized on it. And I just felt like I was doing AJ some disjustice. Like, you know,
he won a couple national titles. He won Masters.
He did win Masters.
That's stock national title. Especially during what was the Roar regime at the time that he won those stock masters, he won national titles.
Yeah.
We had everybody here racing.
Oh, he's a national championship caliber driver.
100%. Yeah, we just had our national is just called Stockmaster.
Yeah,
it's just different than a Roar national title.
It is.
There's not a lot of races out there that I would say you're a national champion if you win it. I obviously think highly of Masters of Dirt, but there's only a few of those big 10 scale races where they're a national quality. I mean, the INSs are pretty much nationals, most of them. And then obviously Roar, and then Masters, and then and you move to carpet. I would definitely say the Carpet Champs is a national event. Like that's even more global. I mean, they're starting to get all the European carpet munchers.
They had their vision, right? Daniel, TJ, Michael. I'm sorry, Lori, Robbie had their vision, and they did a lot of things right up front that people are like, kind of like, what the hell are they doing? Yeah. But it paid off, Absolutely. I mean, my heart's with the Masters of Dirt, and it's nothing against theirs, and they're good. They're all good friends of mine, but they know that if I had to rake, it's Masters of Dirt first. But that's just because I know how much you put into this. I mean, you do the Dixie Nats, and then you do that. Well, this couple past weeks ago, Robbie said something to me, and he's kind of doing the same thing you were. He's got the Carpet Champs, and then they got the Worlds. So I mean, I'm all for all that, and I think that it's really cool to see these guys, do and succeed the way that they succeed. And I don't think any of it's not based off of passion. I mean, Robbie Michaels, say what you want about him, dude, that's one of the most passionate guys I've ever met. I mean, the shit that guy does, I mean, he sold me my first RC car.
Well, you got to be in it this long.
Yeah.
Because going back to earlier in our conversation, there's way too little money in this to be in it that long, just thinking that you're going to, be in the money.
Yeah.
This hobby, this business is not for someone that's thinking like, oh man, I know I can do better than everybody. I'm going to get so rich.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. The harder you work, the more you just realize like, man, I don't get to have as much fun as I used to have with the hobby, and this hobby is why we kind of got into the business, because we're like, oh man, this would be great. And everyone thinks that. And I always challenge everybody to say like, here's what I tell you shouldn't do. Here's what, if you're going to do it, what you should do. You take it as you want. I'm out. You do everything the way you think you're going to do it. But just remember everything I told you after it happens. Remember what I said.
Yeah, I mean, like my way up here today, there was a lot of phone calls that were called, and there was a lot of people like, dude, it's a podcast. Like, why are you not just doing it from your house? And, I respect the way you got this set up. I think it's cool. It's almost like it's just two guys just hanging out, chatting, and, people are watching and whatnot, and that's awesome. But what they don't know is I didn't do this to bash Trinity. I didn't do this to attack Horizon, because I got a lot of respect for both brands. There's some momentary frustrations that will subside over time. I mean, just like you said, it's a breakup. And when you break up with your girlfriend, you hate them right then and there. You want to like attack them, and then you're probably friends. I mean, like I'm friends with all my ex-girlfriends. Yeah. My wife may not like that, but I mean, I also don't reach out to them or nothing. Yeah. But the point is you're friends before, you should be friends after.
You loved Trinity.
Yeah. I will always have a love for
Trinity.
And
you also had a good relationship with Horizon.
Yeah.
So like I can get why it's a muddy.
I don't want Horizon to think I'm frustrated with them. I'm not. I mean, I just hope that they keep a vision of the big picture.
It's like your girlfriend broke up with you for your mistress.
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. But man, it's these. Oh, man, this industry is so convoluted.
Sometimes
crazy.
I wish I didn't love it.
I know, but it's so hard not to, because there's the relationships, and we're such in a niche. Can you imagine the world we live in outside of it? Like everyone looks at us as a bunch of dorks and nerds, Like it's so small. We all know each other, and I love my customers, man. I've got to the point now when I show up at a race that, somebody comes to for the first time. It might be Wicked Weekend or Psycho, and they show up for the first time and they get to meet me like that. The exuberance, the happiness they get when they meet somebody like a Dakota, or even, people geek out on me, which is weird to me, but I'm stoked that they are like that.
Yeah.
Because I've made an impact somehow on their life, whether it's through my store, through this podcast, through some stupid live video that we did or whatever, because we don't do things a lot like the corporations or whatever. You know, I have the ability to be Beach RC the way I want it to be. Like, I don't answer to anybody. I don't work for anybody. I work for me. And if people don't like that, then we kind of like are okay with it, you know, but we can still exist in that same world. But when I go to that track and I meet that person, it's like, I watched one of your YouTube videos. I'm like, that's awesome. You know, good. You know, how did you even find us? You know, because we're nothing. We're nothingness.
Well, that's what it meant a lot to me. Because, like I said, I had a lot of people reach out to me, and you know, and they want the gossip. I get it, you know, and that's where I'm trying, even throughout this whole one, to be as, I'm trying to be as I wouldn't say emotionless, but I'm trying to be as respectful, because I don't want my image I don't want people to think that my image is I hate Horizon or Trinity for this, because that's not the case. That's not the case at all. You know, I wish them all the best. And, you know, I'm going to challenge Horizon to take Trinity to the next level. Yeah. You know, they say that they think they can do it. Do it. Prove it. You know,
but and the meanwhile, you're going to be a thorn in their side because.
You know what? And even if I'm not, my goal is to be a thorn in their side.
Right. Well, not just theirs.
I mean, it's everybody.
You still want to fight the Phantoms, the fucking R1s, the whatevers, you know.
I got a huge admiration for Steve from R1. I got a huge admiration for. I like Troy from Phantom, so I'm going to use Troy. I know that you got Josh and you got Jeff, and I've got nothing against those guys. I mean, I actually kind of thought it was funny. Josh put something on there that said, "Oh, now can we be friends?" You know, I don't have an issue with Josh. I don't have an issue with anybody. I mean, honestly, at Nationals last year, one of my favorite pictures is Paul Lemieux took a sticker and put it on my back, and he's got this like goofball face. Like, I embrace the competition, and you're gonna lose. That's why I really get frustrated with the team sometimes that, like, and I don't know if it's, you know, maybe you know, sorry, I'm running over the mic here. I don't know if it's you know, something that maybe Ernie instilled in the team.
You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm running over my mic. There we go. But, you know, last year, you know, one thing you can look at it, like I said, everything's got two views, or multiple views, I should say. But, you know, I don't like when we lose to cry about it. And Daniel Chavez just waxed our ass last year. And I'm so proud of Daniel. So proud of Troy, so proud of TJ. I'm proud of that little group of people that I know all contributed to Daniel's.
Because they're all little people.
Oh, they're big people.
I'm talking about TJ and Daniel. They're both little people.
We're gonna call them little people, but they know that we're their friends. They're not little people. But, you know, I mean, what they've done with Hot Race has been phenomenal here in the United States. You know, I mean, they got Tebow pushing it. They got Pervitas. You know, I mean, so it's I'm constantly loving to see what they do, but. You know, the drivers, they're passionate because they want to win, you know, and I just don't want them to think that you're not going to always win. You're not going to. I mean, and that's part of it. But take a loss like a champ.
Right.
I mean, Jeremy Harris I always tell him that his national championship was a benchmark to start what we've done in the last couple of years, because I started with Trinity very shortly before we won our first national title. And well, Trinity won many national titles, but first national title with me at board. Right. And, dude, let me tell you, it was built off of, I'm not knocking Jeremy. I know if he hears this podcast, he's probably going to think I'm knocking him or not. I'm not knocking Jeremy. But the stars aligned. It was a local race for us. It was our home track. He had a lot of preparation going into that event, and he capitalized. And, you know, you can't take that one win away from him, just like you can't take Daniel's wins away from him. Right. And instead of these guys that they fight over the losses, like, admire the wins, because, dude, like, no disrespect to Daniel, those are probably going to be the two national championships he wins, and that's it. You know, and that's not a knock at Daniel.
No. But to be a good winner, you have to be an even better loser.
Dude, I tell you.
And a lot of people don't realize losing with grace is as important as winning with freaking power.
Oh.
Like, you have to be able to be a loser.
Yeah.
Just like you have to be willing to fail. If you're going to be in business for yourself, or if you think you're going to be anything more than just an average person, you have to not be scared and willing to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with winning and losing. If you're not willing to lose, you're not ready to win.
Yeah.
And right now, more than ever, the last thing we need is to see people crying about a loss. The cheating bullshit that everyone wants to throw out there, just get over it. You got beat. Mm-hmm. The stuff's so close, so even these days. If it's your day, it's your day.
Yeah.
And make it your day. Win, have a great time. But when you walk out of there and you lose because somebody else had their day, don't go and rain on their parade.
Dude.
If you're going to do it right then. Make sure that this kind of been eating at me about some other stuff. Just, I hate it when people whine about how people won and they don't do anything there. They're afraid to confront. They're afraid to talk about it. Throw them in tech, do whatever. Get over yourself. If you don't want to do it right then and there, then you know good and well you're just butthurt.
Yeah.
Lose with some grace, you know?
It
drives me nuts.
I've actually seen, and I'm not going to name who it is, I've actually seen a driver that I'm not going to say I accuse him of cheating, but there was a lot of people speculating, and for whatever reason, people love to try to get Trinity involved, like into that drama, because I think because Ernie was so charismatic and so driven and so I wouldn't say confrontational, but I would say he had no problem vocalizing his opinion, that it just kind of resonated, where when I came into the picture, like, I wasn't that guy, but it started to, like, Ernie would always say to me, like, hey, I want you to go to the track and think you're a badass. And I'm like, that's not my personality.
Yeah.
You know, but I do sometimes walk into the track and think I'm a badass, but it's not because of me. It's because of the team. Yeah. The team is such a badass group of guys, and it's not. I'm not even judging them or ranking them off of talent, because, like I said, R1, Phantom, Motive, all these companies have got ridiculous talent across the board on their team.
Absolutely.
But it's the way that the team gels.
Well, that brings me back to something you brought up a little bit ago, and kind of go full circle. I don't remember if it was Troy or Jeff, but there was a year that one of them, with no representation at the track at Masters of Dirt, text messages me about something that my tech man, I don't remember what year it was and who the tech man was, but whoever it was, I stood behind 100%. That's why I bring a tech man in and not me do it. Mm-hmm. And when my tech man says something, I roll with it. And I try to find people who every year, like, are different, or, you know, have their own thing. Like, I try not to find someone that runs Trinity or runs this or runs that. And as you know, I'm very, very, very much so about fairness and equality.
Neutral as anything.
If you come at me and say, like, dude, they're cheating, I'm going to go to my tech man. I'm going to say, all right, just make sure. Because if my tech man says you're not cheating, then I believe him. Like, that's why I hired him.
I mean, it's bit us in the ass. There's a couple times that we failed tech, but, you know, it frustrates you. But that's part of the job too. My job is to push the limits.
Of course.
But that's pushing the limits in areas of, like, a very small notion, not blatantly cheating.
My point is this. I got a text message saying something about, I heard he said, she said, cheating this, cheating that, and it was from either Jeff or Troy, and I don't remember which one it was. To this very day, we've never spoke again. I said my piece, and that was the end of it. And I told them, if you want to be part of it, if you think someone's cheating, then you should have some representation here. You're not going to accuse my tech of cheating over a phone. Mm-hmm. This is a major race. You used to send Josh. No one's here. You know, where are you? And I'm telling this story because they are literally the only ones in all the years of Masters of Dirt that have accused me of this. And there's no good damn way in hell I would cheat for you or anybody. Even if it was my company, if I made motors, I don't do that. That's draining the blood out of a perfect event. And I would rather see someone get caught cheating that's my friend than my event go to hell because I let someone cheat. So those companies out there that are going to go around blaming people, why aren't you there?
Yeah, I mean,
be there. Make a statement, prove it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it afterwards. Be there and prove it. If your company is that good and your stuff's that great, then why aren't you there? Mm-hmm. This industry, we're there. Mm-hmm. I'm at almost all the big nitro races. You're at all the 10 scale races. There's these people that have, Matt Walters with Techno at every nitro race or every A scale race. You've got T-Tran at every 10th and A scale race I mean, if you care about your brand, you are there. And I don't want to hear nothing about cheating unless you're there. And if you're there, you need to do something about it then, not afterwards. Don't be a bench warrior. Don't talk about it on, your social media. Why weren't you there to fucking point out that they were cheating? And then prove it. Because if you can't prove it, then how are they cheating?
Exactly.
And so to me, that's where like the little man complex comes in. And I'm not saying that Phantom's little man complex or anything like that.
You're just saying
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna do it, but do it the right way. Everybody, if you are wrong, it's okay. You accuse them of cheating, you lost the protest, move on. Just like if a guy got caught cheating, you lost, you were cheating, move on. This industry, I've been in a lot of industries in my young life for whatever reason. This industry has the shortest memory I've ever even, like, there's so many things over the last 10 years that have happened that you'll never hear someone talk about again, that in any other industry, it would be like they are blackballed. They could never be back in here because of what they did or who they are or whatever. I mean, even off track, like out of the industry type stuff of certain people that are in our industry. We all have skeletons and demons, but this industry forgets. So just man up, accuse the shit right then and there, and be done with it. And if you can't prove it, then just probably keep your mouth shut because it's going to turn out bad.
I mean, there's some times too where, let's be for real, R1, Trinity, any brand out there, they get to advertise a win. It may not be because of the product. It might have been because, no disrespect to Phantom. Like, we've had our differences, but, you said something about small man. Hey, I just went from what I considered one of the biggest companies to I'm a small man now.
Yeah.
And it's not as scary as you think because I do know that there's support there. And it's not that, I know why I didn't get offered anything, for whatever you want to call it, from them, their, if you want to call it severance, it's kind of bogus. It's basically like, hey, you can't work in the industry or you can't do this, and I was vocalized from day one, like, hey, look, this is what I do. This is what I know. Not saying I'm the best at it, but this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to abandon my team. I'm not going to abandon my guys. And the ones that want to be with me are going to jump and come. And I'm not going to ask them to do that, but I'm going to open them. I'm going to welcome with open arms. And, I'm going to bust my ass to do whatever I need to do. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that are like, hey, we want to carry your stuff. They don't even know what the hell I'm doing, and that makes me more proud than anything, but I have a chip on my shoulder now that I want to prove that what I learned from Jim Dieter, what I learned from Ernie Prevetti can work, from a small standpoint, because I appreciate what they taught me, and it's not that
That's just it. You've been running this company for
it's been a collective group. Yes. A lot of people say that, and I want to make sure that everybody knows that there's a lot of, AJ was a huge help. Nathan, Adam, Sam, Angelina, they all were huge assets. Jim Dieter was the biggest asset. Jim Dieter probably walked me off the plank several times with Ernie that nobody knows about. Like, if I ever needed to, like, vent, it wasn't with Ernie, it was with Jim Dieter. So that's where my loyalty is. I do have a loyalty to Jim. And maybe with the way that I did this, they are probably maybe think I did something wrong, or maybe it was out of disrespect, but I don't think it was out of disrespect because I feel disrespected.
Yeah.
I feel that this is just me trying to survive now.
Do you think that they kept Dieter?
If they were smart, Jim could be a very dangerous person, but he's also getting to a point in his life where he really needs to spend time with his family. He's got an amazing wife, Debbie, back at home, and he's got, his own kids and whatnot. And he's running the Thunderdome, which ironically is going to be hosting the Trinity shootout, an event that I always wanted to put. I always wanted to, with you. Like I said, the whole way up here, people are like, why are you doing this? Like, you should be doing other things. And I have the freedom right now to work remotely because it's in those early phases where everything can be done off a laptop.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to come up here and do this with you was because, like I said, not to bash anybody, it was to show my support for you, because when you started this whole wheel and trigger thing, like, you know, I remember when you started talking about it, and you were with, you know, you're just a huge entrepreneur. You're always pushing to do better. And, you know, I just couldn't, I don't see a time in the near future where I'm going to be, you know, there's going to be a point where I'm not going to have the time, because like I said, I'm going to fail a million times, and I apologize for the supporters, but I want them to know that, you know, I don't learn from winning. I learn from losing, you know, I mean, and here's the best part, you know, last year at SDRC in practice, you know, I think it was an honest mistake. You know, some others don't, but I'm not gonna point a finger when I can't. Just like you said, I'm not gonna point a finger when I can't prove it. But Ian Crawford ended up having a boost in his ESC or time, you know, something, and Schimmel just kept freaking crying. I can't clear this triple. I'm like, dude, there's one fucking jump here. Like, let's work on the rest of the track, and we'll worry about the jump later. You know, and Ian Crawford single-handedly made us work harder, where at the end of the event, we were clearing the triple legally, and it pushed us. If we were doing better in practice, I wouldn't have kept digging. Right. You know, you learn from losing, not from winning. So I hope to lose a lot. Yeah. But it's going to reciprocate, and I'm going to win a lot after that. And it's not for me, it's for the drivers. Right. You know, I just want to support my family. My son is obsessed with his hobby. He thinks his dad's got the coolest job in the world. I'm like, buddy, go get an education, and you can own a company like Trinity. Right. You don't want to work for a company like Trinity. You want to own it, you know?
Well, it means a lot to me that you came up here to do this, and, you know, luckily you're close enough that you could. But what's awesome is you were here the very first night that we did the first one with Dakota, because it was Masters of Dirt night. And Dakota and I, it was a late night because it was going to be the first one. We had to wait for the race to get done. Ended at like 6. Dakota went out with the TLR team, and then whatever, J Concepts, everyone goes out to eat. Dakota starts getting fed those drinks, and like it's fucking
when Dakota's back, when the hat goes backwards, it means it's party time.
And you know, Dakota being the stud that he is, like, he's like, yeah, I want to do this. And I'm like, dude, you're the perfect first guest. Like, I have no idea what to expect. Like, my studio's bare naked, you know, but now let's do it, you know? And, but you had to wait around for 3 hours while Dakota and I and Robert in there were yapping and talking the stupidest shit that we could figure out. And, but after that, you know, there's a story that no one really knows about. So we might as well tell it because it's great.
Oh, dude, it was so fun. Is that with Misha or whatever? Was it Misha a part of this too?
Oh, yeah, Misha was here, so he was staying with me. But so we all, for the people that don't know, we did the podcast. And at this point, we probably started, Robert, when did we start?
But you guys were drinking more than beer. You guys were drinking Fireball.
No, he brought his bottle of whiskey, which is in the back there, the red, white, and blue. And Robert, when we start that podcast, like 11?
Yeah, it was late. It had to be like 10 or 11.
So let's just say 11. So that's after a full day of racing on a Sunday. And so Dakota comes over, sits in your seat, and we're fucking getting drunk. So you guys go and do something. I don't even know what you do.
We went putt-putt golfing where Schimmel about took my damn head off.
Okay, so they go putt-putt golfing. So here we are doing this podcast. Me and Dakota, I'm all right, but Dakota's already kind of 2 sheets to the wind. And we just keep getting drunker. And when we're done having a great time and kicking off this Enterprise wheel and trigger, we all decided to go back to the shop. Now, mind you...
Well, I went back to the hotel. I honestly thought Dakota would have been in bed. I was like, oh, okay, he's got to get up early. He's going to be back. I get there, and I'm like, oh, damn, there's no Dakota.
So we go back over... So you guys show back up, and we go back over to the shop, and lo and behold, Postaway and Schimmel left their stuff there because they were going to stay for 2 more days and test, because the track, obviously, after Master Dirt is the best it's ever going to be.
Yeah.
So all his shit... all by its lonesome, 104 pit spots, and just Brennan Schimmel stuff, all glossy and looking amazing right there. And Dakota, drunk as he is, and we go over there. And,
I want to drive this shit.
Dakota's like, I want to drive this. So We drove his shit. We pulled Lucas's stuff out of the back. Lucas to this day doesn't even know, and he's
Remember,
gonna
Lucas
know.
had a broken shock.
No, yeah, well, I might have finished it off, but
I think it was broken beforehand, and then you finished it off.
so I'm driving my car. Lucas was driving, or Dakota's driving Lucas's car. So yeah, Dakota drove your car, and
You're welcome.
yeah, we're doing a couple laps the right way, and then next thing you know, either Dakota or I turned around backwards, and we fucking knack.
Oh.
I mean, it was bad. And then we decided, well, let's go fuck with Schimmel stuff. We glued stuff to his pit board. We glued stuff all over the place.
And Postaway is OCD neat freak about his pits.
Yeah. And then we ended up taking Mitja Widmeyer to fucking Waffle House for his first time ever.
We were up
at
till
Waffle
we were
House.
up till like 5:30 in the morning or something.
Oh, it was a banger, dude. Like, this kid from all the way over from Austria has no idea what a Waffle House is. And he got to be there at the best time when there's crazies coming in, fucking people just drunk, and we're in Myrtle Beach where it's like a little crazy after hours.
There's some skeptical people here.
Yeah, so it turned into one of those unforgettable nights, which just started off with like, let's start this podcast tonight, and it's so funny because I still get comments on the Dakota podcast. There's a guy, and I hope you're watching this. I have no idea who he is, but he made the comment of like how I ride the coattails of Dakota. Like, I called him my employee on some podcast, one of ours. I mean, fuck, I pay the man.
Yeah, no shit.
He's an employee of mine. I mean, anybody that, I ride his fucking coattails. That's why I paid him. Like, he's the man, like,
they're just jealous, so they're not riding his coattails.
Exactly. But the whole point was, it's like Dakota, like you said, and that's why this Masters has brought so much to my life, because it's turned into more than just a race now. It's a meeting of family.
Mm-hmm.
Dakota, before, me and him never knew each other, but after a couple years of him coming, developed a relationship that was able to break that ice to make him part of this family, outside of our friendship. And I feel the same like with you and T-Tran and J Concepts for a lot of reasons. Like, they've been with me since day one with Masters of Dirt but like a lot of the brands and a lot of the racers that show up, like Alan Horn. I mean, I love the man. I wish I lived closer to him. The dude's an inspiration. The dude loves what he does.
He's passionate as hell.
Passionate. He's got 2 good kids. He's fucking still riding motorcycles, and he'll help anybody. He built that team to help people get better. Like, those are the kind of people that got brought into my life with a vision. And without these visions that I have, and I know you have the same thing because you're passionate, without those visions, we're just common people. And there's nothing wrong with being common and regular. Like, I actually sometimes digress and wish I had that, because it's a lot of weight on the shoulders of having to do everything that we do on a daily basis. But that's the difference maker. Do you have the stuff? Do you have the passion? You've said many times, do you have the work ethic? Do you have the drive to actually do the stuff? And having these guys that you and I are both privy to and be able to like bounce stuff off of, or just, be able to call our friends, or even employees that we demand information from.
Yeah.
We pay them for that information. It's a privilege, and we're lucky. We're very lucky, and we've made these relationships with each other and other people, and we wouldn't have it without the industry, right?
Yeah.
Like I personally I just threw caution in the wind, took a big risk. You got yourself a job in an industry that, with a company that you knew was like big. These are things that probably 90% of everyone that does it right now, whether they're new or old in the business, wish that they would have done or could have happened to them.
Yeah.
And so we're fortunate.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
We just got to, and everything you've said tonight has been, you're preaching a lot of the same stuff that I preach. Like, it's the passion. You people have to have that. And
you're so real. Let me put that out there. For the people that don't know, there's not a fake bone in your body. I see some of these people in this industry, and they're fake. And I'm not saying it's a lot of people, but I'm just saying that, like, TJ Bradley and Daniel and I were talking one day, and one of the things that we love about you is that you're real. Like, what you see is what you get. And I want to be the same way. In ways, you've made me want to be a better person. and I value our friendship. And that's where, I'm not going to lie, dude, like there were several times on the way up here today, I wanted to be like, fuck, I want to go back home, but it's not because of a level of disrespect. It was just that, like, I got other things I need to be really focusing on right now. But, like, this meant a lot to me.
Well, you do realize that people watching or listening to this
Sure.
is going to be so much better than them reading about, like, a press release you put out on Live RC.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
and that's the beauty of what we're doing here with Wheel and Trigger, because this isn't something where... And I'm, once again, I love Lefty and the No Name and any of the other podcasts, Mark Samaria and On the Tone, all that. Like, they're all my buddies.
They all got their own unique thing.
Right. But this is meant to be more on the personal side. And that's why I think this was good for you and could be good for you. Not necessarily like you're trying to promote a brand. We barely even talked about what your plans are. But it's the fact that you got to put out there in a setting what happened or how you feel about it and you didn't bash anyone. You didn't talk poor about anyone. You just told the facts. That's the beauty of what we're doing right now, is the human side. Mm-hmm. If you were to just gone on and made a post, Horizon this or fuck that or Trinity fuck me or whatever, it did nothing for you.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. I don't want people, like, I hope when this is all said and done, I hope people understand that, like, yeah, there's some frustration, but it's said, it's done, it's over with. And I hope nothing but the best for the whole Privetti family, and they will always know that I'm here for them. Like I said, I run for TLR, so, I want Horizon to succeed. I want Trinity to succeed, and I want them to carry on the legacy, but don't think that I'm not going to carry on the legacy too, and don't think that, like, my new legacy is, I've got a son that loves this, and he looks up to his dad. And, I'm not a badass, but I once was, but because of the team. So it's time to rebuild the team, start fresh, and become a badass again. But it's nothing predicated off of me by any means. It's the guys behind me, and the team is so amazing that we're going to rebuild the team real fast. And I really do believe Exalt's going to make a lot of quick headway. Like, I mean, and it's all predicated off of Ernie, Trinity, everybody, because I'm not starting off at I'm not going from the goal line to goal line. I'm like starting at the 50. So, and the support is through the roof. I mean, I've got support, from, besides you, I got a huge friend at GS Hobbies that puts on great events, and, it's all of those guys, like, Ryan Eckert from Florida, Brian Shoemate from GS Hobbies, Creed Nally from GS Hobbies, my family, my kids. I mean, my son, he doesn't understand how lucky he is. And that's why I want to work so hard, because, you see all these kids get into this. And my son, the joke in Florida is, oh, there's an Abbott that can win now. Because my son's talented. I mean, he's one of those little peckerheads that just grabs a football. He can throw, he's not Tom Brady. But he's trying to be like, like I watch him in the field playing with his friends, and he's trying to be like, like Mahomes, like throwing sideways. I'm like, dude, just learn the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Let everything else kind of come to it. But, he's got a huge passion for RC, and I want to share that with him. Like, he's been able to be privileged to have some one-on-one with Dakota. Like, dude, there's a lot of kids that don't get that. And I tell my son all the time, like, you are so privileged. And I'm not saying Dakota made an impact on my son, but I'm also not going to steal that away from Dakota either, because my son's got some talent and he's got some upside, and I want to make sure that the product is good for him, so that I can do my son right, but for everybody else too. I mean, I keep looking at a body that's right here, and it's Danny Stockman's. I keep looking at that Trinity word.
Ain't no Stockman body here. That pussy, he ain't ever sent me nothing.
That's not Stockman's body?
That's fucking Max Fleur right there, buddy.
That's Max's?
That one?
Okay, well, I apologize.
That's Max. Fucking Danny Stockman. He did promise me a podcast this year. We will be moving into my NASCAR friends when their season's over. I got a few guys scheduled.
See, and that's the thing. Like, those guys, like, he's stood behind me, you know, and I saw that, like, he gets you to some of these races. Like, Danny, to me,
actually, Horizon got me to that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that whole sponsorship of that race car and all that. Yeah, that's what all that was.
So,
However, Danny's my boy, and I spent most of the day with him.
Yeah,
but,
you did. I don't even have a picture of Danny, but
Danny, I had just lost $100 to him like a couple weeks before.
Is that what that $100 bill was?
Yeah, so we bet 100. I'm such an asshole. I told him, I was like, with no practice, anything, I walk up to him and I said, Danny, I'm going to smoke your ass. This is North Georgia shootout. I probably hadn't raced in a couple months. And I said, I'm going to smoke your ass. He's like, you want to put money on? I said, fucking A. He said, how much? I said, what do you want to put on? He's like, let's put $100. I was like, all right.
And Danny's not bad.
No, fuck no, he's not bad. He said, what class and what's the bet? I said 40 plus, because my intermediate is my practice for 40 plus. Like most people's 40 plus is their practice for pro or whatever. And I said, intermediate is my practice for 40 plus, so I want to do 40 plus. And I said, it's finishing, or whoever finishes higher at the end. Not TQ, not qualifying, nothing. The only thing that matters is where you finish. If you make the A, the B, whatever.
Breakout don't matter.
Man, I was doing so good, kind of. And he was just doing what he does. And he's
not flashy. He's just solid.
Yeah. And
let's be for real. I guarantee his car is fucking probably phenomenal.
But that weekend he whooped my ass. I gave him that happy $100 bill. And I thought to myself, all right, Wicked's coming up or whatever. Like, you're going to be at a race.
He's
soon.
not going to Wicked. I already asked him about that, but he's trying to get me to do, what is it, the Peach?
Yeah, Peach State. Yeah. So I should be there too. But I was like, I'm going to get him. So I had a decent run at Nationals. Like, my confidence is up. I'm going to go down to SOS this weekend and race that down in Loganville. And I'm just like getting this confidence. Like, yeah, I'm going to get him. Because, I mean, I just want to beat him. I don't race to win anymore. But there's people I want to beat, you know, and like you are one of them. Danny's one of them. Just
well,
my
I'm not
buddies.
much of a competition, but
well, Brandon Melton the other day, he was asking me something about Wicked. Okay, so the Friday night party, we put on this party at Wicked every year now, and so he's like, is the cornhole on, it's a Friday or Saturday? I can't remember. And he can't remember because we get him fucked up. And and I was like, it's Friday. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm bringing my wife this year.
Can I buy a ticket for this?
Yeah, come on. And
my whole family's coming for this. I'm not even racing.
For Wicked?
No, my son's racing.
Oh, good. Perfect. Well, so I think Brandon Melton's whole family's coming, right?
Yeah.
Well, and he said, well, my whole family's coming and talking about the cornhole and the drinking and stuff. And I said, well, good. I'm going to get you so fucked up. And he's probably thinking I want to get him fucked up. So he's like, acts like a fun around his wife.
Over tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I want. I was like, now I'm going to get you so fucked up. I got a chance to beat you on fucking Saturday or Sunday. So like these old guys, like I got a little whiff of doing good against Brandon at a race. I can't remember. It might've been North Georgia Shootout. I was ahead of him and I was keeping ahead of him. And like, I'm starting to feel good again because I'm finally racing again. And so now I'm getting this swagger and this confidence, like I can beat this guy, you know what I mean? But no, which at Nationals, just to kind of go, you were talking about this, like talking about 10 scale Nationals and electric, but one of my highlights of Nationals, Fuel Nationals a month ago, was I bumped out of the Z main.
I remember
whatever.
You posted about this, I think, right?
Yeah, and I bumped out of like a main, but I was in that race with 3 A main employees, which one of them was Kendall, the owner, and I beat them all, and that was really awesome. Like I felt good about that. But what was even better was I bumped out of my second main, and when I came down, like Kendall was at the bottom giving me high fives, and that was way better than almost anything that weekend.
Yeah.
Dakota winning was the pinnacle of
Obviously.
the highlight. And if he would have won truck, which he should have, would have been like incredible. But just the fact that the camaraderie's there. Like A main, who doesn't, if you're in my shoes, in my situation, who doesn't want to be A main?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the gold standard. Not Horizon. That's so corporate. And A main's getting there. Don't get me wrong. Like they're a very corporate company. But like everyone compares us.
But Kendall's on it, man.
Yeah.
Got to give the guy credit. I mean, dude, as soon as
Absolutely.
that posted with Horizon, dude, my inbox, Kendall's like, just like, hey, man, can you kind of share anything what's going on? And I'm not putting that out there to like throw Kendall under the bus. I'm putting that out there that, dude, the guy's a go-getter.
No, exactly. But that's why I felt really, we don't know each other really well. We've only met a couple times. But the fact of the matter was he knew what I did And I'm just the same as him. I'm not a pro. I'm not going to go out there and set the world on fire. Just a hobby shop owner that loves what I do. And he was there at the bottom of the badass driver stand that he built, waiting to give me a high five and congratulate me. Mm-hmm. And that camaraderie was as much as important as most of that weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate him for that. And I appreciate all those guys. I work with a lot of those guys. I see, you know, now that they're out east here, I'm seeing a lot more of them at the races racing. And we're cohesive. We're not enemies. I buy a shit ton from A-Main. We sell a lot of Protec stuff, a lot of Eco Power. You know, we buy stuff from them. And, you know, obviously we want them to buy stuff from us. But the point is completely that the industry can be cohesive. We don't have we don't have to dog this company or dog that company. You know, it's about, we're all having fun. This is a hobby for 99% of the people in it. 99%.
Well, and I think honestly, like, and I want to put this out there that if I have any hatred towards brands at times, I honestly think that brand should use that as motivation.
Yeah, it's competition, right?
Because you know what? To be quite honest with you, I mean, it's awesome to see Phantom win. It's awesome to see R1 win. Like it's not good to see one brand dominate.
No, it isn't.
It's not, and I don't want to see that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I go to every race.
You
to win,
want to, but it's not good.
But me as a person and the team that I build around me, like I love that they're passionate. I mean, I love like Jeff Stackowitz. Dude's passionate as hell. I mean, honestly, before he was even with Trinity, he got into it with some dude, or he got into it with Ryan Millington here at Masters of Dirt.
Yeah.
You know, the dude is passionate. He got into it with TJ at the Carpet Champs, you know.
I heard about that one.
Yeah. You know, I mean, and I'm not saying he's always in the right, but I love his passion.
Right.
You know, I think that myself included can learn to channel your passion in different areas. You know, so for everyone out there, if there's something I can put out there that I want them to know is like, I'm hating you in the moment, but it's not permanent. It's not anything against you, personal.
Yeah.
It's that, you know, I mean, whether you make it personal, that's your problem.
Right.
You know, I mean, like there was one thing that kind of pissed me off and I don't know what it was. Like when this whole thing went down, like Brian Mills from Pro Performance sent me some kind of a smart ass text, kind of like, you know, it was, you know, he was probably, you know, sleepy or I don't know. It wasn't, I don't want to say out there, but didn't make a lot of sense. But I took it as kind of like he was throwing a dig at me. Well, that's fine. Next time I see you, I'm going to throw a dig at you. You know, I don't know Brian Mills. I don't care. So I'm not saying Brian Mills is a bad person, but I'm going to poke at him next time.
Yeah.
You know, and the same with Steve and the same with Troy and Josh and Jeff. And
you gotta figure that there's a few of those guys that were just loving every minute of it. And it's sad to think that that's like, but you know, we don't all have to be friends. We don't have to hang out.
I will say, I bet you Phantom really hated to see it. Honestly, I don't know, and I could be wrong. And I know that there's probably some people out there that are really surprised to hear me say that. I will say, I think Steve enjoyed it. I think Steve wants to be Ernie, but he'll never be Ernie. I don't care if he makes 1 million cars. I don't care if he becomes associated. You're not Ernie. You're never going to be Ernie, so quit trying. You know, I mean, but he does a lot of things that Ernie wanted to do. You know, so I mean, Steve's doing a great thing, but you're not going to be Ernie. And, you know, I'll say that to his face.
Yeah.
You know, don't knock Ernie by trying to, you know, emulate him. You know, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whether I love Ernie or hate Ernie, I don't hate him. You know, let me rephrase that. But I will always have a soft spot in my heart for him. And just like when, you know, a year ago, if somebody says something about Ernie, I'm going to defend the guy.
Yeah.
You know, whether I agree with him 100% or not. So, you know, I mean, it's dude, passion sometimes gets you in trouble. I know that personally firsthand, you know, and I'll be the first one to apologize.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to apologize for who I am because it's what I enjoy. And it's, you know, when you see days like Friday, I mean, honestly, it was way overwhelming. Like you could have never, ever predicted that. Like I was getting phone calls like, dude, you broke the internet. And I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, all I did was I got shit canned and released for being good at my job. I'm going to put that out there because I think I'm good at my job. You know, and it is what it is. But I just wanted to clear the air and just let everyone know that I wasn't with Trinity anymore, you know. And
well, they deserve to know.
Yeah, you know.
The people deserve to know because to this day, we still don't know anything other than what you're telling us right now. Like, Horizon's not made a statement. There's nobody knows if they're getting anything from Trinity. Some people think that they're going to kill the brand. Some, but I have to believe they didn't spend the money to kill the brand.
They're not going to kill the brand.
They're going to use the name. They're going to build on it. But the fact is, you're allowed to let people know.
Sure.
And
it was more so to let the team know.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the team to ever think that I abandoned them, because everybody sees what they see at the track, but what they don't see is behind closed doors. I'm going to use Danny Stockman, for example. Danny gets me to these NASCAR races and this and that, and they're not for me. My dad's a huge NASCAR fan. Daytona, you can only go to Daytona so many times before it gets boring. But for me to be able to help my father go and get these special privileges that Danny can do, that means a lot for me, because my dad killed himself throughout his years. And so I work hard to try to benefit those around me. And if I step on your toes from time to time, please know that it's not intentional. And, if I say something that's out of touch, it's not intentional. There's not one person in this industry that I absolutely hate. If anything, we all should love each other and just be competitive. And, like I said, I came here because I want to support you. And I appreciate you wanting to bring me onto the show. And obviously, this is a juicy time frame, but it wasn't about bashing or anybody. It wasn't about trying to make myself look better than Horizon or Trinity, because I'm sure on their end, there's something I said that may not be agreeance, and I apologize if they don't, but that's my point of view. This is the way I feel.
I don't think anything we talked about tonight that they can, I'm not a lawyer. And I don't think there's anything they can really say that you didn't defame them. You didn't talk bad about the brand. You didn't talk about bad of their brand. Like,
I don't want to see the brand go away. I want to see the brand thrive.
The only thing you did was tell what happened, and everyone needed to know this, and that's why this is so important. This is not about a bash, like you said. This is about information, and information is king. And people need to know, like, Trinity's going to be around. We think.
I feel bad for all the vinyl guys out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Myself included, I probably threw 10 pounds of stickers away.
Right. Well, stickers, T-shirts, stuff.
Josh Parrish, Anthony Searles.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad for them. They look forward to this shit. Yeah, they make some money, but.
No, this was an awesome trip. AJ Zales came up with me. He kind of, dude, I've been thrashing for the last couple of days that, my biggest fear was, I didn't want to come up here, is that, even coming up here, we're talking, and I started spacing out in some phone calls because I'm so damn tired, And
well, I do have a question about AJ Zales that maybe you could answer for me.
Look at him. He's over there.
I want to know why he walked into my fucking studio drinking a Bud Light.
Oh, okay. That's my fault.
Oh.
It was in my cooler.
I like that you took the blame on that, AJ. It's a pretty good dude right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could have gone sideways for you really quick. I was trying anyway.
Yeah, no. You see, definitely, you see the ever since Bud Light did that one thing. I'm not gonna lie, I feel really bad when I grab a case of Bud Light at the store.
I never drank Bud Light before that happened because it gave me a headache. Like, that beer, for whatever reason, gave me a headache. But it now gives me a headache looking at the box. But I can't talk a lot of shit. Although my boy Danny Stockman, our boy, will stand behind me in this, but I got drunk yesterday on the river with White Claw Surges.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, AJ Zales is a huge White Claw guy.
Dude, the Surges, 8%, 4 of those motherfuckers, I was about. Okay, so, man, I want to send this. Robert, I'm going to send this to you really quick to put up, because I know we're late on this, but so this was yesterday, okay? Now, let me preface this real quick. This is us. This is in between going to the river, dropping the boat off, coming home for a few minutes before we left to go to our friend's house to go to do fireworks, right? So Robert's going to post this up here in just 1 second. But this is what White Claw Surge will do to a motherfucker right here. Post that up on the screen whenever. But I'm going to tell you, about 2 years ago, somebody brought Bud Light.
Hey, may I say though, real quick, we all drink responsibly. We may act like fools at times, but we are not driving.
But Bud Light, yeah, but they also have that high alcohol volume one, Prime or something, like Bud Light something. Anyways, it's also like same as the White Claw fucking Surge. My wife told me if I ever drank those again, like she would leave me.
Is it common, like, remember back in the day, those, oh my God, what was it? That drink that, like, people drink one of them and they would, like, hallucinate?
I don't know. But these 8% seltzer cans.
Four Locos.
Dude, these 8% seltzer can things, when I drink 4 or 5 of those things, you can call me anything you want. Like, there's no telling that I'm not. Why it wasn't, if there was a stripper pole there, I'd be naked on a stripper pole. Did you get it, Robert?
I tell you, you do. You know. There you go. Oh yeah, that's you.
That's my backyard, and that's my wife taking this damn picture through the freaking blinds while I'm passed out. Look at that. Can you make it bigger? Let's show the people.
See, that's why I wish I was there.
I'm sorry, I can't. We can't turn back time.
I know.
That is the owner of BeachRC.com and Assault RC passed the fuck out in my backyard.
But see, you know what though? Honestly, that's, I think, one of the things that's the coolest thing about you. You're just you're as real can get. I mean, I'm not knocking any of the guys out there, but you know what? If they look like they're perfect, they're fake,
bro. I imagine, because I'm knocked the fuck out right here. I imagine within minutes, my wife came out and woke me up and said, "It's time to go," and I can remember her waking me up. And I jumped right up and I said, "Let's go." And by the time we got to where we were going, just this time I walked through that door, a good friend of mine walks up to me with a nice cold fucking shot of Fireball. And this wasn't the first one of the day. And I felt like that while I was walking around this party the rest of the time.
I'll tell you, something
like
better
a
than
walking
Fireball
zombie.
Is that.
Want to have one? Want to end the show with that?
Yeah, why not? But I will say that this was worth every part of the trip. I appreciate it. Like I said, I hope I didn't hurt anyone's feelings. I hope that if you guys don't feel that what I said was accurate, I apologize. It's just my point of view. Oh, we cannot cheers or nothing?
No, I'm drinking out of the bottle. Robert.
Oh, man, this smells so good.
How many hours has this been? How many minutes? 3.5. Nuh-uh.
Holy cow.
Oh, we got to stop. Kevin? It's been good.
I know.
It's been real.
Hey, and you know what? This is AJ Zale's first time up here. He's got to come back for Masters.
He don't race cars. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. I appreciate everything. Oh, God. That stuff is so good.
Yeah, it is.
It's dangerous. Like, they shouldn't even be allowed to produce liquor that's good. I am a sissy when it comes to taking shots. It can be the best thing in the world, and I'm always making it. My wife makes fun of me because she is a saint, but she can drink rubbing alcohol without making a face.
Really?
It blows my mind. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna find that out. Wicked. So your whole family's coming?
Yeah, we're gonna bring the Exalt trailer up there. You know, don't have no product yet, but it's not about work. It's about supporting my son. Like he is so ate up with this, man, and I'm so. Damn, he's so good. I mean, let me rephrase that. I shouldn't say he's so good. Like, he thinks he's so good.
Yeah. He's got potential?
I mean, I'm like every father. Yeah, I think he does.
Of course he does, right?
You know, but also at the same time, when you do this, as long as you've done it and whatnot, you're a realist too. And, like, I try to explain to him, like, dude, you're racing novice. The only thing I will say is he did run the buggy lane race down at Dean's Discount down there in Popka. It's like 15 minutes from my house, and I said, "Hey, buddy, there's no novice. You're gonna have to run sportsman." The little son of a gun qualified like in the top 10 and finished 5th. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah.
But he's afraid of heights, or I shouldn't say he's afraid of heights. He doesn't understand that David Lycum puts on these events, and he always has these little quirks. Wicked to me is such an outstanding event from just being outside. The weather's always awesome. I mean, the friends are perfect. I mean, dude, I'm so excited. Like Lance McDonald on the mic, like his whole staff, you being there. I mean, honestly, it's going to be cool for my wife to kind of see the work aspect, I mean, and understand that sometimes it's not always about work.
Yeah.
It's about building relationships. And, I could quit today. I mean, I could have never done anything, but I don't want to. What's the driving passion behind it is coming to Masters or coming to this, having a purpose to come to these events. I don't want to be just a racer again.
What would you do if you didn't stay in the industry?
I'd probably be a failure.
That's what
No, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, this is what I've done for the last 10 years. And, I've kind of lost myself in the process.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of friends. But, I kind of devoted my life to this. So it's kind of that situation that my wife's like, kind of looked at me and just like, this is what you're meant for. Just do it, and she's a methodical person. She's probably going to hate some of this when she sees it, but
it's okay.
Yeah. Right. But in realistic, she and my family, my daughter, Sadie, and my son, Talon, they're the driving force behind it. I mean, I got the best support system, and, there's times where she frustrates the hell out of me, but it doesn't matter. That's all momentary thoughts, kind of like, if I get into it with somebody from Phantom or Motive or I don't actually think I've ever got into it with anyone from Phantom. I mean, from Motive.
Yeah,
Paul Lemieux, just
chill, man.
Dude's cool. One of the coolest dudes. Like, most up respect for him. So I mean,
Chase might be. They might be at Masters this year. They've been talking about coming.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, Dakota. And I'm only going to talk about the recent winners. Dakota and Dustin Evans have pretty much dominated the event for the last. I mean, Spencer was pretty damn good last year.
Yeah, he got it last year for sure.
So don't want to count out Spencer. We need to get Mayfield here.
Yeah, we do.
So Jason, get him in a 2-wheel.
I mean, now that he's got that A main ride.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got he's got good 10 skill, but now it's about what kind of bonus money is out there for him to come do Masters.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is, but I'll talk to him at Wicked. I'll tell him like, come on, man.
Yeah, I'd like to see I'd love to see a Matty G over here. I mean, I use Matty G.
Why hasn't he been here?
I don't know. That's a question for Matty G. I mean, you'll have to find out.
I know why.
Okay.
Yeah, he's scared.
Oh,
East Coast, man.
Matty,
East Coast, best coast, baby.
Matty, you
Let's
get
go.
this.
Let's go, Matty G. Look, it's been a long time. We got to go. Like, fuck. AJ's falling asleep standing up. My man Robert.
I think his battery's probably dead. He was probably talking to Todd or Grant the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Look at him.
Todd's so sexy too. Tell him I said hey. Dude, it's been fun.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it again. We just got to do it in over time. Like
Masters recap.
Jump in on one of our live shows one night with me and Chase Urlich.
Yeah, I always struggle with his last name.
Me too.
I don't know why.
I don't either. Every time he corrects me up.
I could be in
Ulrich,
the shower.
I say Ulrich because I always think of that show Silicon Valley, and there was that guy named Ulrich, and I always say that shit. But anyway, man, it's been fun. Let's go finish drinking.
Yeah,
and
I do appreciate it, and appreciate Zales. Zales really kind of, like I said, he's got a job. He's got his own life. He's got an amazing girlfriend, from what I hear.
Really?
But I mean, honestly, ever since I met Zales a couple years ago, he's just been a really good support system and a friend for me.
You're very lucky if you got an amazing girl.
Yeah, right. So, but I mean, he really helped out because, like I said, I was, the other night I kind of questioned my passion, and my wife came out and it was like 4 a.m, and she's like, thought I was gonna be sleeping in the camper, because that's where I'm working right now, and she's like, "You're up." I'm like, "Damn, how late is it?" So for anyone that might have questioned my passion, it's there.
Yeah, well, I think we can see it, and I don't think there's much to worry about, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. That we'll support you. We're gonna keep your stuff around. I'm not on the fuck Trinity bandwagon.
No, neither am I. I hope them nothing but the best.
If stuff's available to buy through Horizon, we're gonna keep carrying it. I don't blame people for jumping ship to go to wherever you're going, because I will do the same more than likely. Like, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope Horizon's successful with their purchase.
Yeah. If anything I say, I just challenge in Horizon, because as big of a company as they are, and as amazing as a lot of people may or may not think that they are, dude, they got a hell of a team there, man. I mean, they really do. And I mean, Todd Hodge, Frank Root, you know, those guys. I mean, Ryan Dunsford. I mean, they're a great group of guys. And you know, and
they do, Kevin, but they don't have you.
They need to get more personal.
They don't have the person that knows every in and out of what you were doing the last 10 years. So they can have all the greatest people, and I love all of them. I'm very close to Horizon. I'm not a fanboy, but I'm a businessman.
Sure.
And they're a good company. They take care of us just like A-Main does, just like Trinity did, just like all the companies I work with, Associated, and you know, everybody. I work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, dude,
we have a lot of SKUs and a lot of product.
When we got here, I took Zales through your track because he's never been here. And I said, let's go on the other side. I want you to see the shop. You know, because it's amazing. You know, I mean, there's a lot of shops out there. I mean, GS Hobbies, dude. A lot of people don't know about them. Their shop's phenomenally stocked,
right?
Through you know, Horizon products and A-Main stuff. And,
you have to,
yeah.
In this business, you have to. I don't burn bridges.
And hopefully after tonight, I didn't burn any
bridges.
I
burned any bridges, if I have burned or do burn any bridges, it's not intentional unless I say it is. You know, like I might say some stupid shit, but I am who I am. And that's why people have to understand. I'm not, like you said earlier, and I don't ever talk about it, but I'm not going to be fake. Like, if you come to me, I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
I think that's honestly one of the things I love about you the most. Like, if this was anybody else, I probably wouldn't have made this right now. Because like I said, I mean, it's a 7-hour trip up and a 7-hour trip back for a conversation, you know, but it doesn't matter. The thing is it was about,
but do you think it would have been as good over the phone? Like, if you would have done like a FaceTime and I have you in, or like we do the whole side-by-side Zoom thing, like, do you think that you would have got it across?
I watched the Evan Vale and I watched the good lordy, Conrad podcast.
Spinrad.
Spinrad.
Yeah, he's
Spinrad.
awesome.
And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh shit, okay, there's gonna be a little bit of drinking.
Yeah.
So like it made me realize like what Lefty's got is amazing.
Yeah.
What Chris Circus has got is amazing. And I think what you're creating here is you're doing it your own way. You know, and it's the most difficult way. Because to get guys here to do it face to face, that's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
No, you know, and that's where, you know, you and I have talked about doing this before this whole Trinity Horizon thing ever kind of transpired.
Yeah, but I've been waiting for you to come up for a long time.
Yeah, so. You know, so we've been talking about it. It's just, you know, when Trinity, it was so hard. Now, you know, there's a little bit of freedom right now because I pulled the laptop out and do it while AJ was driving, and I thank AJ for that, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the future is bright for a lot of brands, and I challenge everybody to a lot of success. But, you know, when we're competing, I'm there to kick your ass. Afterwards, let's go have a drink, man.
We're going to end on that.
Yeah.
Afterwards, let's have a drink. It's Wheel and Trigger. Hey, I don't know if y'all saw me, but I was doing some live for our patrons. If you want to be a patron, go on the website, check it out. You can sign up. We give you some exclusive shit. We got a little bit of merch on beachrc.com, some hats right now, nothing more. Going to work on some new shit. Be looking out for Exalt, right? EXALT.
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 The only thing, I love it because it's a biblical word. But, man, I was like, man, assault.
Oh. Hey, it is what it is, baby.
Yeah, right.
It is what it is.
You know, but I just like meaning drives me.
I agree.
So,
I like it.
Yeah, so it's awesome, man.
Best of luck to you and Exalt, and thank you for coming. And there's a lot more to come. I think the people are going to be happy and excited, and I'm excited. So Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that good shit. Hang out. Come on. See you soon.
Quality. Precision. Passion. For servos, batteries, and fuel, go to nitroproracing.com.